Charles, it's an absolutely beautiful spring day here in the park, outside the park.
Until the wind whips us.
It's surprisingly windy.
Yeah. So you've expanded your responsibilities. Have you told the crowd yet about it?
I don't know what you mean.
You're not just in charge of the art department, you're in charge of the comedy department.
Ah, yes. Well, we do have a great poster today, if I do say so myself.
Oh, it really is.
And there's some niceties in here that you might not have noticed. It's the man with the dolt of a son. Of course, that's the big guy, Dumb Joe. And then we've got Hunter down there. But there's a little hidden Easter egg in here. We've got Abe Lincoln as Odd Job carrying out resident Dumb Joe Biden's dirty work.
Well, but I think the pièce de résistance for me was that you have Dumb Schmo, or Joe, whatever you want to call him, Dumb Joe peeing in his pants, as secret agent what?
000. Right, exactly, because he's an absolute dope. We've got so much to talk about today, Charles, including all this business with Twitter. I've added a new little thingy here that lets people know they can reach you on Twitter at Charles Ortel.
Thank you.
Yeah, and there's a lot to talk about what's going on with people getting restored and Elon Musk tweeting about Truth Social. My main Twitter account is still in Twitter jail, but people can follow my new Twitter account at jgoodman_CSTT. And if they restore the Crowdsource the Truth one, I'll still keep that personal one going. But let's just take a little circuit around here and look at the nice spring
foliage.
Yeah, the flowers are coming out and everything.
Yeah, when I used to live upstate, one of the first things I did near the house is I put up a whole bunch of cherry trees. And they, as you can see, this one is absolutely beautiful.
Does it grow cherries?
I don't know. I mean, we have a nice cigar chomping gentleman next to a slumbering gentleman.
But I did walk by this tree on the way over here,
really
and it
beautiful.
made me feel like today is one of those days where it's just nice to be outside enjoying the weather, the trees,
Hope I'm not in your way.
canines. That's a fluffy dog.
Yeah, I mean, that person just basically cut me off.
Yeah, well, she doesn't, most people don't care about anybody but themselves, Charles. It's a big problem.
Absolutely the case. So yeah, just on Twitter for a second, I really enjoy Twitter. I found it in the last several days, actually. I've noticed on my own account a lot more people are following, a lot more engagement. And I've had a number of conversations with people who I knew of, but had not until recently connected, and helped them understand some of the context that we've been going over. And when you start explaining, as I did to one guy from the Epoch Times today, when you start explaining what you and I have done.
Hang on just a second.
It's like really, what would be your reaction?
Those guys were on the show for a minute.
Yeah, Credit
They could
Suisse.
speak up a bit.
Yeah. Well, he's obviously very important in his Credit Suisse vest. He's probably got at least 6 months of experience.
But you're connecting with a lot more people on Twitter.
Yeah, and so, but I started to explain that, the background and the GE thing. I should have gone more into the GE thing with him, but, and while we're on the subject of GE, I'll quickly make a few comments about it. Their recent earnings report, which are basically, for people like me who understand financial statements, they're kind of like the for-profit version of the Clinton Foundation. Everything they do is precisely the wrong thing that they should be doing, and their results suck.
That's GE, you said?
Yeah, and it's really sad. I mean, the Clinton Foundation, they actually, I would argue, don't have the money, the free money to go. I mean, the potentially money that should be reserved to pay off their legal fees, fines, penalties, and interest. They don't have a lot of that.
Yeah. They got money for hookers and blow.
At least for travel.
Separate
travel
account.
And go, yeah. But and how fitting that we're making these points right near where I believe Chelsea once lived, or may still live.
Oh yeah.
But GE used to have a policy. You want to keep going this way?
Sure. Yeah.
Used to have a policy of when I started looking at them, they actually, and I think this is not news to you because we've talked about it. You and I have, but maybe the crowd doesn't know about it. They actually would joke that under Welch and then Immelt, they would count the number of times in the earnings presentation and the Q&A session or whatever that the GE executives would describe the prospects for the business as great. And so they created something called the greatometer. And they would say, well, this last time there were 138 greats in the 30-page presentation. This time there are only 127. That means the prospects have diminished. That means the stock is not going to do that. I mean, it was just really funny.
That's serious analysis?
No, but that's the analysis they nonetheless did.
Oh.
And so, and it really was one of these things for me, looking at there's somebody taking a picture of us right now. For me, what's that?
Let's just, I don't know, we'll take a picture of him and see. It's totally okay to take our picture, but what are you taking the picture for?
Sorry?
It's totally okay to take the picture, but what are you taking it for?
I have a YouTube channel where I basically just film people in New York. I also interview them sometimes.
All right,
okay.
cool.
Good.
Thanks.
Thank you. And this is where the bike messengers hang out and pretend that they're working. Yeah, that food that you expected, yeah, we'll be there in 15 minutes.
Yeah, I gotta do some texting. Oh, you're right. But I always thought they were waiting for more deliveries.
No, they're waiting for the cops.
Exactly.
They text each other.
Maybe they're the ones texting the cops the whole time.
And now Eric Adams. And you told me that Eric Adams, the mayor, the theoretical mayor of New York City,
Right.
Actually put out word that he would like to be texted. I mean, is he jealous that he's not spending enough time on texting?
I don't know, but he had like a press conference yesterday. I saw it on the New York Post, and actually a lot of people sent it to me saying, oh, it looks like Eric Adams is watching Crowdsource the Truth, because he didn't say he's going to do anything about it.
Of
He just said,
course
if you see cops using their phones on duty, send it to me. But he also didn't give you an email address or his phone number to send it to.
It's standard. That's like, put it in the circular file.
It's like calling tech support at Verizon. They're like, we'll connect you right now. Click.
Well, typically it's like you have to give them all the information, then they put you on hold, then it's click. But
We'll connect you to 4 people and then disconnect it.
right, in Swahili. But staying on GE just for a second, the theory of conglomerates and collections of one business that owns a lot of different
Here's
businesses.
a bike in the park.
One business that consists of many other businesses was in the past, in the go-go 60s, the idea was that if you want to sell something all the time, and you're, let's say, in the sporting goods business, on a rainy day you sell umbrellas, and on a sunny day you sell suntan lotion, and that way you're pretty sure that you're always going to sell something.
Right.
And that's a simplistic way of looking at it, but the original idea of GE was that you had your best number 1 or number 2 in most of the business lines that you're in, and
Bulbs.
well, engines, lots of, they were at one point very well run, but where they got screwed up, in my opinion, is they said, well, we know how to make light bulbs and we know how to do this. Why don't we take on those idiots on Wall Street using less talented people who were going to pay less and just throw money at the wall and use our accounting staff and tell people that we've done really well in finance when nobody really knows what we've actually been doing. And that there was GE Capital was a small piece of the puzzle until the mid 1990s when it became very, very big.
Huh. That's interesting.
And
would that have anything to do with Bill Clinton?
Absolutely it would have. During Bill Clinton's time, they changed the way Wall Street was, in quotes, regulated.
Oh, right, the Dodd-Frank and all that?
Yeah, and they allowed, it used to be that investment banks, people who create securities and trade securities, had to be separate from commercial banks, which were enterprises that took deposits and got the benefit of the federal government guaranteeing the safety of the deposits, and turned around with that money and made loans. And those two things were separate. A measure that was put in place after the Great Depression, when people looked and said, why do we have the Great Depression? And in part it was because these melded firms couldn't keep their responsibilities straight and bought assets, put things on the books with borrowed money that really weren't worth what they said they were worth. And that's always a problem.
Fractional reserve stealing.
It's basically just lack of talent. I mean, the value today, for example, of U.S. government debt which is currently trading at an interest rate of, call it 2.8. I don't know the rate right now, but let's say it's 2.8% a year. Prior to December 31st, 2008, the average rate, going back to I think 1962 on 10-year paper, was above 6%. So at some point, the interest rates on this 10-year debt have got to rise in nominal terms. When that happens, the value of the debt will go down. And it's actually straightforward arithmetic to figure that out. But when you take something, when you game the system, as we did around December 2008, staring at over the abyss.
What do you mean we gamed it with a tarp?
I'll tell you. When Barack Obama had won and everybody was all excited about what he was going to do, and we had a choice to make, the Federal Reserve did and the central banks did, do we let the system purge itself of all the excesses? Do we have the bad loans that were put on in the last credit bubble, do we have them price out at zero or whatever they price out as, and let a large number of people lose a tremendous amount of money? Or shall we artificially suppress interest rates? Shall we say they were at 5, let's push them to 0 or 2.25 basis points? And that's the equivalent of really flooding an engine. You're putting too much this way, or?
Yeah, don't we want a free market to do what it does, and the less you mess with it, the better?
That would be the impulse. I think unfortunately, you need a mixture. We've seen, I mean, even this morning, we had this guy, this idiot, who ran a hedge fund and turned a hedge fund from a small amount of money into $35 billion in 12 months. And he was arrested this morning.
Chinese guy, right?
I think he's Korean, but I could be wrong.
Hyang or something?
I don't want to go there.
Yeah.
It's an Asian name, let's just say. I don't remember what it is.
It was on Zero Hedge.
It's on Zero Hedge, and a long story. Here's a guy in 2021 basically doing exactly what the scumbags did
208?
leading up to 7 and 8. And you would think, and the thing that was really, I don't like this. This is, to me, a tell. Oh, there we go. No texting. Let's just sit down. I don't want to
traffic ups. I'm not going to say anything to them, but I was just going to. Eric Adams will get a text.
He is on
Yeah,
text.
they are texting.
Good.
Unbelievable.
Yeah. But.
So it's the same thing they did up to 2008.
Right, and for me, it's just a tell. When somebody makes a big deal about being in business, saying, well, I'm a devout Christian, so we have meetings in our firm where at lunch we do Bible study. I just don't want to hear any of that. That's between you and God. And if you have a minister or what, a rabbi, that's not that. I don't want to hear about that.
How does that affect the rate of return?
It's irrelevant. And the fact that you're spending time at the office on this.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's actually not right. I agree. That stuff should be your personal life at home.
Well, and I've had people over the years. One of my grandfathers was a Baptist missionary who's well known, and I'm not going to say who it was, but and people will approach me and say, "Oh, are you related to this person, that person?" I am a devout Baptist and I worship here and that, but I got this business idea. Click.
Right.
You shouldn't mix those two things.
I agree completely.
Especially if you do it by introducing the idea as a suggestion that you're more virtuous or less likely to cheat somebody else, and
or we're both of the same religion, so there's some connection between us. I actually hate that.
The Madoff
when
thing.
Jewish people contact me in any way or on a movie set, think that there's some kind of instant connection between us, and we're going to get into this thing together. It's like, look, I don't know you.
Right. Would a Jew cheat a Jew?
Right.
Yeah.
And actually, the answer to that is hell yes.
Have you ever heard of Bernie Madoff?
I've heard of a lot of people who've done it to me.
Yeah. So, anyway, on the subject of GE.
Now wait a minute. Wasn't this the Beecher's cheese? Oh no, this is the restaurant.
So, on the subject of GE, they still they're still very large, and they have access to really good legal advice and consulting advice and accounting advice. And for them now, 15 years after I identified them as being a problem, to still be struggling Now on there, you Immelt, and I think they had, this is now maybe after Immelt there was a guy, and then there's another guy, and this might be the fourth CEO in 15 years. And you disappoint Wall Street as grievously as it is. The approach is every quarter, the big companies who are actively followed, where they're investors not simply in the equity, but also, here's somebody texting.
That's the device for giving tickets.
So you say. But anyway, the big companies just make a practice of appearing before the analysts. Typically what they do is they hold a dinner the night before when the results are embargoed for public release until 6:30 in the morning.
So embargoed, you mean they've sent it to the newspaper but said don't release
Not the
this?
newspaper, to the research analysts and people. So you can write. I mean, to be able to digest our earnings report that is released to the public at 6:30, have a comment on it. I used to do that regularly without getting into the embargoed version. I had to go on CNBC or go on Fox or go somewhere and say, or Bloomberg most often, what did I think of the latest release? But the guys who are on the inside, who are investment analysts, were selected by G. It was rigged. You know, to get to that dinner, to get a slot at that dinner, they watched what you wrote.
I see.
If you watched stuff that was unfair, then you didn't get invited to the dinner. And back in the day, GE, before people like me and others started making a big to-do about it, it was one of the very few AAA-rated companies left. And its credit capacity was better than Goldman Sachs.
So just look at this, Charles. This is a running business. This normally had posters for movies in it. I mean, the movie theater is still running. This used to have different movie posters of what is playing at the movie theater.
Yeah, used to is the key, right across from that empty store over there. That used to be, I think, Brooks.
Yeah, I think
Brooks
you're right.
Brothers.
So okay, that dinner.
So the point is that when GE was in better credit standing than any of the banks it was lending money to, that was borrowing money to, no one bothered to say, now wait a minute, how come this company that's one of the AAA rated companies out there, like 3 to 5 left out of 1.50 or something, why is the credit default swap market, which is an insurance market, saying that this company is facing bankruptcy? There's a big difference between.
Well, how did they know and other people
because
didn't?
the credit default swap people are very smart, and in fact, in the very small world department, Moody's, which is one of the debt rating agencies, had a feature on their website that said you could use the credit default swap market to tell you
what's going on,
to tell you what the rating should be.
Aha.
And I was at a bar, minding my own business, sitting next to somebody, and we started talking to this woman. Where do you work? Moody's. And I said, okay, let me ask you a question. What's the chance that the CDS market on a AAA rated company would say that on your website would indicate, wait a second.
Something's on fire.
It's just, I can see the siren through the reflection. Where is it?
It's going slow. They're just going
There it
to
is.
lunch, maybe.
Very useful.
Oh yeah, the Dirty Dozen. I've seen that ladder
Sure.
12.
So
okay, the credit default swap guy says what?
it's a website thing. This was a woman said. I asked her, what's the chance that your website would indicate that a company you've given a AAA rating to and maintain a AAA rating to, that's a very large company, deserves to be rated as a bankrupt company? And she
said, "There's no way."
She absolutely no way.
And then you brought up the website. And it was...
Exactly. And she's like, "Whoa."
So what happens?
She wouldn't talk to me after that. I think she probably went to her
Really?
boss. Oh yeah. I mean, it's a big problem. Moody's was a publicly traded company in which Warren Buffett held a 20% stake.
You know, that guy looked drunk, and the skateboard almost went right into you.
I saw him. Almost is the key word.
But didn't he look to be not paying good attention?
Exactly.
Oh yeah.
The rest of these guys here.
But that's just
No,
that's
it's
just soda.
Yeah.
But Well, that's
So GE, the point of all this GE stuff is that after a period where GE, they were making these comments about it's back on track, and the CEO, of course, is buying stock, and people look at that and say, well, the CEO knows a lot about the company if he's buying stock.
right.
Anytime a troubled company does that, I run. Because
They're trying to fool you into thinking.
exactly, and typically, if the CEO were taking 95% of his net worth, and which was, let's say, 10 times his cumulative salary for the last 5 years, and putting it into the stock, I might take notice of that. But if it's a couple $1,000,000 and the guy's worth hundreds of millions, it's meaningless.
Yeah, it's just trying to show somebody
Well,
something.
plus he was being paid $20 million a year or thereabouts, right? So it's not that strong an indication. Well, they tried that thin case argument on GE. It was an embarrassing earnings release. The market puked all over it. And it's begun, unfortunately now, this gets to Twitter. GE had such a bad one, Boeing had a bad one, the big players, the big multinationals,
You mean this week?
the last several days, are all puking. And
Twitter's about to do the same.
that's tomorrow. Yeah.
Yeah, so you see, okay, so this takes us back to Twitter. And so I had a little email exchange with a longtime Crowdsource the Truth viewer who has been in Twitter jail.
Right.
And she told me that she has been reinstated.
Oh, good.
So I think there's a combination of things going on. And
Right.
if you need any Ukrainian honey,
Where do you see that?
well, they got Ukraine
Oh.
all over the place, and Andrew is
Got
selling honey.
It's got a flag. Well, it's probably like the old days of having a Black Lives Matter sign
Right.
on your restaurant.
If you don't have it, nobody wants to buy your stuff. So anyway, what I think is happening, Charles, is these social engineers
It's pretty ominous.
with the clouds.
Yeah, and the way they're moving.
Yeah, these social engineers, and to reiterate, I think people know it's my position that Twitter is not a social media platform, it's a social engineering tool.
Right.
And that's why all the people who control it are so upset at the notion that Elon Musk will take it over and turn it into a game of straight pool.
Well, they know that payback's a bitch.
Well, they're also probably going to get in a lot of trouble, maybe even legal trouble, if my estimation is correct, because social engineers don't give up. Even when you have evidence,
Right.
even when you present it in court, they just continue to lie, they continue with their dirty tricks, they continue with their games and their bullshit.
Right.
And I believe that there's a combination of things going on. So yesterday I spoke to Laura Loomer, and she was upset because she said that Twitter should be destroyed and it's a filthy junk pile and that it's ruined people's lives.
Right.
And that nobody's been reinstated yet. And I said, well, she said it was a scam, and I don't think that was entirely correct. There
Right.
are scams going on. People have
Right.
created fake Trump accounts to make people think that Trump is back on there. There's a whole thing we'll talk about with Truth Social in a moment. But I think there's a combination of things happening. I think there are people who have legitimately resubmitted appeals.
Right.
And we're going to have people working at Twitter who get those appeals, and there must be somebody
Moron.
who is in Twitter who thinks, you know what, I do think it's bad that we're suppressing important news stories about Hunter Biden's laptop. Now, how could it be free weed?
Well, no, it should be you get free weed and they pay back your student loans.
The hats are $100 and the weed is free?
No, hats are 30 and the weed's free.
Uh-huh. And do you get your student loans paid off too?
For me?
No, I'm saying if you buy the weed.
I don't know. I asked Joe Biden. He turned that one down.
Yeah.
Do you
What
have student loans that you want
Yeah,
Joe
I do,
Biden to
man.
pay?
I owed like $200,000.
No way.
Wow.
Yeah, I went to a really prestigious music school.
Which one?
Berkeley.
Berkeley. I know Berkeley. My mother went to Yale Music School.
Oh, okay.
I think the weed will pay it
$200,000?
back faster than Joe Biden.
$40,000 a year plus all the other shit.
What's the interest rate?
I don't know right now, but I had I got some calls and pretty much they got rid of a couple things but it's going up year by year. I remember within 1 year it went up like $8,000.
What is?
I don't know what the exact rate is
Wow.
for interest, but it's high.
What is your musical focus? Are you a performer?
I'm an instrumentalist.
Instrumentalist.
And a producer, yeah.
Good. Well, good luck with this.
Thanks, man.
Take care.
Thank you.
All right, brother.
That's at least a unique business model. Everybody else is selling the weed. That guy's giving it away.
Well, it's, things are not going well if you've got
The music career is taking a back seat to the weed.
Yeah, well, if you got $200,000 in student loans, and your game plan for paying it off is to sell hats for $30 and give away weed.
You don't think that's a good... You don't want to invest in that, Joe?
I don't think so.
The earnings call is next week. That kid could really stun the market.
Oh, he'd do better. Look at what's going on here.
Oh, I don't know.
Something. Because when you see police cars going in the opposite direction, somebody's been called for some reason.
Oh, there's somebody in there getting arrested.
Something must have recently happened.
No, he got out, so he's not getting arrested.
No, that's huh.
I don't know what the hell is going on. Maybe over here in Whole Foods?
Donut special.
Something.
Donuts are on sale.
They're talking to that person. Any idea what the cops are doing? Now, anyway, so I think there is a confluence of events taking place right now. I do believe there are some people who are being reinstated. I don't think it's reasonable to presume that Elon Musk has had any significant influence over the thing yet, because he hasn't even actually bought it.
I know, and I can't believe the number of comments on my Twitter feed, and generally speaking, well, Elon Musk is doing this with Twitter. Elon Musk doesn't own Twitter. He owns $9 billion. What is 9% of the company? That's it. He has no ability now to do anything inside the company, as far as I know.
Right.
And tomorrow's it'd be interesting to see what the earnings release looks like tomorrow. I think it comes out at 8 o'clock in the morning our time. Whoa! It's insane, fucking moron.
That guy just almost ran the bicycle over the skateboard. That would be good if all the skateboarders had accidents with all the bicyclists in the park, and then they could all be in the hospital and not be in the park.
He's probably a Rhodes Scholar, that guy.
Doubtful.
The skateboard? Oh no, highly likely.
Well, back to the what's going on at Twitter thing. There were some strange things happening yesterday. You couldn't like things for about an hour, and other sort of anomalous things happening. What's that?
The same pink table with people asking for money.
Oh, I didn't see that.
Yeah.
But what I imagine is happening over there is chaos. And you've got a big giant computer network. There's people working on it. There's outages here. There's outages there. Things you need to fix throughout the day that when the company is working normally, your experience with it as a Twitter user is that it just works. And I think from what we've been hearing about lawyers crying in meetings and people up in arms and engineers sending tweets.
I mean, let's take that one for a second.
We will in a second, but there's probably a lot of chaos going on over there. So I think that there might be some unusual things happening in terms of if you are one of these people who's like, okay, good, finally all of these people who want to suppress news and block everybody are gone, I'll reinstate a few accounts. But I don't think they've made any kind of official policy of let everybody who likes Trump back and bring all these. I think the other thing that's happening is that there's a lot of people, you may recall, that when they blocked the Hunter Biden story, you said, F Twitter, I'm not using it anymore.
I did.
And you did. But I encouraged you, and perhaps without that, you might have still been off, and maybe an event like this might have gotten you to voluntarily.
Definitely, yeah. And so let's take this for a second. First, let's talk about this.
One last thing.
Sure, okay.
The other piece that's happening is because I've been looking at Bot Sentinel and Chris Boozy, and there's all kinds of things like that, which are tools for doing disruptive things on Twitter. And I believe what they are doing is adding a lot of fake accounts to conservatives while removing their previously added fake accounts from their own Twitter accounts so that they can create the false premise that, conservatives are doing something or Elon Musk is doing something to gain Twitter. And I think they are simultaneously doing some sort of bot download activity on the Apple App Store to drive the Trump Truth Social thing to the top. How does that have more downloads than TikTok, more downloads than Twitter, more downloads than YouTube? We don't have any, we don't have any information from professional moron Devin Nunes if that number of downloads of the app equates to an equal number of new signups on the app,
Right.
you could just download it 20,000 times, and that would show it as the most downloaded thing in the App Store. It doesn't mean all those people have been added to truth,
Right.
and we don't know. I think it's another social engineering play to try to screw with
Right.
the Twitter buy, because also Twitter stock is down today, and we know there is some mechanism by which they can make AMC do things and GameStop. So what do you think of all that?
All right, well, let's start with a lawyer. The notion, I mean, unless what you're trying to do is win a crybaby award. I mean,
Right.
the idea that your top lawyer is going to cry in a deal meeting is absurd.
It is.
It just really is. I mean, you want a lawyer that eats steel,
5 seconds.
and said, give me
Craps
more,
nails.
and craps nails, exactly. You don't want somebody to crybaby over
Right.
some business issue, as profound as that business issue may be. Now, there are some of the most pro-American people you're going to meet, or I've met in my life, are people who immigrate to this country
Yes.
and become naturalized lawfully, because they know why they left whatever country they left, and they did it for a reason, and they don't understand some of the people I've been talking to over time, why we Americans are so lackadaisical, why we take everything for granted, why we don't prize what we already have. So I'm not making a blanket anti-immigrant comment, but
Right.
this person is a fool, this legal person.
I
Who,
forget her name, but
it's Vijaya
right.
Getty or something like that, Gotti or Getty. But she emigrated here as a young girl, and the story that I read was she was told that her father they settled in Houston, and her father had to check with somebody who was in the KKK before leaving the house. It's a preposterous.
She's younger than me.
I know.
How
it's
active was the KKK?
Not very in Houston. So it's just it sounds to me like there's a fair amount of folklore in this person's background. But
Sorry,
she
what'd you say? Bullshit?
Yeah, folklore. It's spelled F-U-C-K. Anyway, and here we are next to where Alec Baldwin lives. Doesn't he live
Oh
there?
yeah.
Speaking of folklore, but so she ends up at Twitter as the top legal person for quite a while. I mean,
Yeah.
she's been there for quite a while in a crowd that had, has people who were close to over 98% of the people making donations, political donations out of Twitter,
Unbelievable.
are Democrat, and many of them probably think that Feinstein is a Republican.
There's
they're-
another weed store, Charles.
I know, but do I get a free hat and my student loans paid off here?
Yeah, ask them if they have free hats. The other guy, sorry, Charles. The other guy was selling hats and giving free weed. So you should sell weed and give people free hats.
Yeah, do the opposite.
How long has this store been open?
We've been open since February.
And is it just hemp and CBD products?
Yeah.
Because
At least
marijuana's
for the
not
moment.
legal yet.
Yeah, we're looking to get it once it's fully legalized, but
You guys are sticking to the law.
And the more you buy, then you get your student loans paid off, or no?
I wish that was the case.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All right. She looks like a doctor, Charles.
Not really. Did you notice what she wasn't wearing?
Oh, well.
Mostly clothes.
Right. But, just to make a comment, that's at least a store that's abiding by the rules and probably paying its taxes. And,
Who knows?
Well, they're
what's
paying the
go-
rent.
Who knows?
So the lawyer,
So yeah, this lawyer, I have been to India quite a bit, and every time I encounter Indian people, I'm shocked at how the political center in India is far to the left of the political center in America, especially among the professional class.
well,
You
it's
talk to lawyers,
socialist there, isn't it? And the whole
Well-
caste system.
well, you talk to lawyers and highly educated people, and they are, they're all in for Obama. They're all in for Eric Holder. They're all in for
Oh my God.
all that kind of stuff. And so I think it says all that needs to be said, that this child of immigrants could be in a position where it was her call to kick off Donald Trump,
And the
sitting
Hunter
president,
Biden laptop.
sitting and suppress Hunter Biden, that she could have that much power
Terrible.
and think that that's okay, and that the board could the board could think that that was okay, that its investors could think it was okay, and frankly that Donald Trump
Did nothing.
And even now, Schmo Biden, who knows what he's doing today? He's probably trying to figure out where his Jell-O lunch is. But
Psaki already said we need more laws, and some senator said something about more laws to curb social media.
oh well, I think wasn't it something to do with the former vice president? Algorithms
Right.
biases.
Right, algorithms.
He did invent the internet, right?
Yeah, something like
So
that.
he's the
But then
guy
he
who-
sold it to Al Jazeera. And he won an Emmy.
and he won the Nobel Peace Prize.
Oh, all prizes they give to shitheads.
Right. That's pronounced Shithaids.
Yeah, sorry, I'm using too many foul words today,
That's
but
right.
I'm in a salty mood.
I hadn't noticed. So, so anyway, Twitter.
Pretty windy.
It is. I hope this isn't squaring the sound too much, but Twitter needs to. There needs to be a radical restructuring of that place,
Yeah.
and it'll be interesting to see what Musk's reaction will be to earnings tomorrow. The market is telling me that they don't believe the Musk offer closes anytime soon, because the discount of $6 a share, thereabouts, off the deal price is more than enough to compensate for any wait between now and when the deal might close. So the market is, I think, saying 54.20 is not going to happen soon,
Huh.
and may not happen at all.
Wow. So then, see, Steve Bannon was saying like, oh, Elon Musk should, nix the deal. I forget what the reason
You say
was.
walk away. It's because they're messing with him. See, that tells me, Bannon has experience. Perhaps he has more experience than I do. But I just know from my days doing this kind of stuff, the surest way to do no business as an advisor is to go in and tell the other side that my client's in and we'll close on this basis, sign an agreement, and then welch on some pretext. And that's,
You mean for Musk to do that?
yeah, I mean.
No, why would he do that? Why does he need advice from Steve Bannon?
Well, he doesn't need advice from Steve Bannon, but he's got good advice from Morgan Stanley and other people. And people have run a lot of expenses already on this deal, so you only go into this zone if you're serious about closing.
Yeah, it's still only at 48.4.
Right, so $6 roughly.
So, right, I mean, it seems to me if everybody, it should be going up. But I don't know anything, and this is not stock advice.
Yeah, and today I don't know what the market's doing generally, but it was up before we started, about 200-300. But now look at these flowers. This is very pretty, huh?
Yes,
To
but
just-
let's talk for a
to pull
moment
a
about
Jason on you.
Elon Musk's comments about Truth Social, because the other thing that's happening is, he said, and he noted that it's the #1 most downloaded app in the Apple App Store. But I mean, again, my response to that is you could easily set up a bot network
Sure.
to download the thing 100,000 times a minute. The question is it being installed? Are those downloads equaling new signups? Is it able to accommodate that many new accounts?
Right.
How many daily users does it have?
What's the nature of the engagement?
And does it work at all? Because the answer to that question is no.
True Social.
I mean, it works, but not well in my experience, and it lacks a lot of the features of Twitter. It is not a mature product, and I think it was a stupid thing for Trump to do. He's not using it, which is the #1 hindrance. If he was on there every day, tweeting or trumping or whatever you do on there, like he was on Twitter, that would be interesting for people. It's just like a worse version of Parler or Gab or Getter.
Right.
And that's fracturing the market. This, unlike certain things, having 5 of these
Right.
is not necessarily better. You kind of want one place where everyone can communicate and share ideas,
Right.
and not be excluding everybody for all these weird reasons.
Right, and when I always go back to numbers, and when we say there's 7.5 billion people on the planet, but there are only 40 million Twitter users, and those are likely concentrated in richer countries, as a guess. It would appear either the actual target market is much smaller than people assume, which is possible.
The target market or the active market?
Target market, the goal of the 7.5 billion. Let's get away from this. The 7.5 billion people. What is your target? Do you want to have 750 million? Do you want to have a billion? Let's go. That guy didn't go to Berkeley College of Music.
Yeah, well, he's not selling free hats and weed. Now, this is interesting because we heard Eric Adams say he saw cops texting, but there's no increased police presence here, and we still see the open weed market.
Well, this is decreased police presence.
I agree. They're just not around.
Simon Cowell listening to that music. You're simply dreadful. Sound like a
You
car.
can't dance.
Backfiring.
You can't sing. What are you doing here?
Exactly.
Yeah, everybody's selling weed.
Yeah, or strewing junk around. And here's the hardcore. These are the hardcore bums coming towards us.
That looks like a music crew.
Right. Just trying to
Yeah, so it's nice weather for sure. The trees look great.
when we're sheltered from the wind.
So it seems like they're doing, and oh, here's another thing that I saw that was kind of like, what the hell is going on? So Associated Press, I want to read you this headline. Did you see this? Talking about Elon Musk. It was AP, what was it? Elon Musk scrap deal.
Yeah, here's the people we don't necessarily want to interact with.
Okay, the headline is Musk, wait a minute, no, they've changed it now. There was a headline talking about Elon Musk's quest to scrap deal over tweet rejected. And when I saw that, I was like, what? He's trying to scrap the deal?
No.
And what they're saying is he was trying to make some deal with the SEC.
It's a different matter.
I know, but the way they put the headline,
Right.
it was just very interesting to me that it was coordinated with all of these different efforts that seem aligned to crap on the Musk Twitter takeover.
Right. So the one thing I noticed is that a number of different people are trying to sell the theory that hateful, like against Taylor Lorenz, that idiot who doxed, lives on the TikTok.
Yeah.
A number of people are trying to say that mean tweets have led to violent action against people, and that's why we need to control mean tweets.
I see.
And as opposed to saying, it's the person makes the decision to commit the violent act. It's not the tweet. You can't say the tweet made me do it.
It's like John Wayne Gacy, or who is it?
The devil made me do it. Yeah. So
that's a good point, Charles. I mean, that's absurd. Because if we're going to do that, then anybody does any crime. It's like, oh well, Joe Biden said this, or some movie said that.
That's the essence of the insurrection argument. That Trump and the people who were down in Washington D.C. Were trying. Trump inspired an insurrection,
right?
And he's therefore guilty and should pay. That's serious. He should pay a penalty for the various and sundry people who were killed. And when most of those people actually were either shot by the Capitol Police, and we still don't know why.
Photographed by John Earl Sullivan, and he has not even really been spending much time in jail at all.
Right. Now we're walking by NYU Law School again.
Right. We wanted to say something about the law school, didn't we? Or it was just the lawyer?
Yeah, we did, about this lawyer who, I mean, honestly, I can't believe that the Silicon Valley crowd, with all their fancy law firms around them, aren't saying, wait a minute, there's a problem here, that social media could be as powerful as it became and could have so much bullshit going on, so much law breaking going on.
That's what I'm saying.
We became kind of the market for illegal political activity, and for doxing people, and for canceling people, and for spreading false rumors, and for rigging elections. That's not what we're supposed to be. These are not our values, as somebody, I think.
Well, see, her crying, though, like you said, you want a lawyer who eats steel and all that, but I mean, let's say she's not the toughest lawyer in the world, but just a level-headed business person. I mean, unless a bomb goes off and half the people in the meeting are killed before your eyes, I can't imagine any circumstance where crying in a boardroom is appropriate.
I'll tell you a circumstance where it'll be appropriate involving a lawyer. It's when you don't pay their bill.
Right, but even then they're not crying, they would be angry and threatening.
Well, you say, I'm not paying, and the reason I'm not paying is because I went bankrupt and I got no money. That's when they will cry.
Well, but on a serious note, it seems to me that the crying is an indication of an emotional breakdown which
Right.
might occur even with a very collected person if they're aware that they've been spending years doing things that are illegal, and now it's extremely likely that that's going to be found out,
Right.
and their life, their wealth, their career, everything as they know it will be destroyed. That would make sense.
Right. And that I think in this case is likely justified. I mean, the degree to which we go back in hindsight and we think about this Hunter Biden Post story, we think about the latest revelations that we're getting. It's a steady drip. Every day there's a new set of stories. Now it's that there's a $5.2 million difference
Right.
between Joe Biden's income as declared on his 1040 with his wife and what he said he had made in the period on a government transparency form, and you can't lie on either form.
Well, apparently you can.
Well,
You're not supposed to. Yeah.
Yeah. There must be some policemen. Oh yeah, there are.
Where?
Right there.
That traffic. Now, see, she is texting, but she's got the ticket machine in her hand so that if anybody sees it,
Right.
you'll be like, oh, she's just giving out tickets. No.
She's texting.
Charles, you could put your paw in the sidewalk.
That's probably what Joe Biden's coming down here to do. That.
They don't want you to do that. Soul fresh corn dogs.
Two
Wow, they've
hands.
just redone the whole sidewalk there.
2 hands. Look at this. Mint
Yeah.
masala. We can
Hello.
go.
This
This
is
way.
licensed cannabis delivery. Blaze Cannabis, Charles. I guess
just-
Glenn Beck is in the weed business now.
I'm just a huge fan of staying on the sidewalk and not getting hit.
I'm with you.
So, but this arrogance of the Twitter crowd and of this lawyer. I mean, can you imagine saying, "What'd you do today, honey?" Well, I
Cried
decided.
in the boardroom.
No, but before she started crying, I decided that this Hunter Biden story is outrageous. We leaked. This asshole who won the Pulitzer Prize leaks Trump's tax return. That is illegal.
Right.
And it's all over Twitter, all over
Right.
the internet, all over mainstream media. And the head, former managing partner or managing editor of the New York Times, put a special notice on the front page of the New York Times, said it was his patriotic duty to release this.
Ah.
Okay, that's okay. But, Hunter Biden, a legitimate, it seems, description which only gives us a partial sense, gave a partial sense back then of how bad the situation has
Right.
been involving the Biden family, going over decades. That gets spiked.
At the critical moment when
Yeah.
it would have made a
Might-
difference.
She might, I don't know, the judge might give him one chance.
No chance from that judge. But the other problem, Charles, is that there was this guy, Colin something, who came on to respond. So Mike Cernovich, who I have a lot of issues with, but had a valid point this morning, mentioned that they spiked the story,
Right.
Hunter Biden. And, well, Elon Musk responded to something about that. He said, spiking the story was obviously incredibly bad. Or something
Inappropriate.
like that.
Yeah.
Inappropriate.
Completely inappropriate.
Completely inappropriate. So this guy Colin comes in and says, no, we had a policy, them, says we had a policy about hacked materials and we went by the policy and it was the algorithm. And then somebody came in and said, no, that's a lie because
Right.
Jack Dorsey told Congress, first of all, it was not hacked. The lie was that it was hacked.
Right.
But what does that even mean? I thought it was Russian disinfo, so that's not even hacked. It would be made up.
Right.
But it's not hacked. The guy had the mechanics lean and brought it in. So it's amazing that they're still lying about that because that's the exact same thing that Barack Obama did on Thursday
Right.
when he said, deep down we know when something's really true. Forget about evidence.
He doesn't.
That's what he said.
He doesn't know.
Well, he wants you to think he does.
He's just in favor of that information.
I understand, but he's just saying, listen, we want to manufacture information, so we'll let you know when it's information and when it's disinformation.
We call it scat information. But yeah, it's so back on Twitter then. You got this deal, it's a lot of money, it's leverage, meaning they're going to borrow Musk is apparently going to borrow money. He has, fortunately, a large amount of money in theory. I don't know how much of it's liquid, but he's putting this deal together. It's going to be, won't be a trivial exercise to close it. And between now and then, there'll be all kinds of spoilage and turnover, and there may even be some mayhem.
Sabotage, they're talking about.
Exactly, that could diminish the value.
But let me ask you this. Is it realistic or unrealistic? Go ahead and ride the bike right through the narrowest sidewalk in New York City.
Yeah. He's got a text now.
I know, you gotta stop to text. But is it realistic or unrealistic to think that someone could have mounted some sort of deliberate attack on Tesla stock to drive the price down?
Again, we're in a market, yesterday the market was down 800 points. So, and much more on tech. It was 500 points on a 14,000 or whatever it is, 12,000 on the NASDAQ, and it was 800 on 33,000 on the Dow. So the tech world has been slammed generally. I don't see it yet as an attack on Tesla stock, but
okay,
could be wrong.
But somebody, I mean, is there a way to do that if somebody wanted to? Because we saw all that stuff with GameStop, and obviously that was coordinated activity. They talk about how you're not allowed to use Twitter for coordinated activity, which tells me that it's very effective at that, and they want to use it for that, but you're not allowed to.
Well, it really is a crime too, in a coordinated conspiracy to try to move the value of a publicly traded security.
Yeah, but they do it.
Well, people may do it, but you're really not supposed to, and should people want to get serious about it, unfortunately you have a record. If you're doing it via Twitter, you're going to have the DMs, the evidence.
But it's all fake accounts made with fake emails.
Yeah, but even when I was in doing this back in the 80s, the SEC had very powerful ways. They knew, let's let these idiots go by.
I'm sure they do, but what I'm saying is all these anonymized email addresses and anonymized social media things.
Well, if you're, in the first place, if you're in a bank or a law firm or whatever, you're not supposed to use the rules against using anything other than your work email.
Yeah, but that's the rules that they're breaking.
Yeah, but no, those are rules. Scumbags will break them, but on a takeover this big, you will be very certain that if they did that, they'll get caught. So.
That's the American Legion. I don't really know what that's about.
Yeah. So, I'm not saying that there aren't criminals who illegally trade on inside information every day, but I do believe that people out of Morgan Stanley or these big firms, they have a lot more to lose than they might gain screwing around with this deal, which, as you rightly point out, could blow up. I mean, Musk, if we have the earnings that are a disaster tomorrow, it's a puke-a-thon. And let's say there's the trend in growth has turned into a decline, let's say, or let's say there are unexpected large expenses in a certain place, or this recent legislation we talked about yesterday on lease rent.
The European thing.
Yeah, where the Europeans are saying you have to respect our rules, and we don't want damaging information. We don't have freedom of speech in Germany the way you have it in theory in the U.S., and so don't try to pretend that Twitter Germany can operate the way Twitter America does.
Let's say filters for individual countries, I think.
I know. I'm just saying. Well, we don't have to guess. Tomorrow morning, we'll see in the morning what the thing says. My take on it as a high-level analysis, which is very simplistic.
What? Big drop there.
Yeah. Sorry. Is that to take? Let's say that 240 claimed users, and let's say that 140 million of them are bogus. Just pick a number. So you've only got 100 million. And you've got a lot of people who are not going to invest time and energy in it because they can't get blue checked and they are treated unfairly and whatever, and must change that. And he says the only people can have, everybody has to have a blue check.
Yes.
and you can't use these anonymous accounts, and you can't set up bot networks on Twitter.
Right.
But you have to have some benefits, though. You're taking stuff away. You'd have to say, but what you can do is I don't know what.
And communicate with people the way it's intended to work.
Right, and so let's say that allows you to go from 100 million real users to 1 billion.
Right.
Over 5 years. So just pick a number.
That would be good.
That would be very good. And then you have to think about changing the profitability, not simply the cost structure, but actually the ethos of the company. I think I wouldn't say we're going to turn the headquarters into a homeless shelter. I'd sell the headquarters. If the new buyer wants to operate it as a homeless shelter, that's fine, and I'd move it to Austin or wherever Musk's base of operation is, or some other place that makes sense. And
that costs less to live than San Francisco.
Right, and I'd break the back of this. You can only be part of this operation if you hate Trump and you hate Republicans and you believe all white people are racist. And
right.
You got to change that. That's a big job to do all that.
It's true.
Now, if you can, on the other hand, there are great riches await, even greater riches. So
he is the only guy to have a private company launch a rocket to connect to the International Space Station. So
what does he know about tech?
I mean, that's pretty complicated.
What does he know about tech?
See, and it's a good question, Charles, because it's not only a matter of what does he know about tech, it's what does he know about developing complicated things.
Right.
And he's been saying, like, well, Truth Social is a terrible name. He's right about that.
He is.
And it's also a terrible idea. In other words, it would have been an easy deal if he said, all right, I'm going to buy Truth Social and make an Elon Musk Truth Social, but it's not valuable at all because it's an absolute dead-on-arrival turd with a no-talent CEO who's never going to make it go anywhere. And I will even go out on a limb here and say that what Elon Musk said about Truth Social today is at least suggestive that he's aware of the same facts that caused me to believe that Truth Social is itself a social engineering campaign against Trump. Why hasn't he been on there tweeting every day?
I can't tell you. But
Devin Nunes uses the same lawyer as Robert David Steele, and Robert David Steele said, what's Farm Rio? Robert David Steele said that it should be called Trumpets, the tweets from a Trump Twitter clone. And today Elon Musk said that same thing. Maybe a coincidence.
could well be.
Or maybe he heard that statement from Robert David Steele and knows, he's got to know that Devin Nunes is in a million stupid lawsuits with Stephen Biss, and that Stephen Biss is not a serious attorney. There's no way Elon Musk takes Truth Social seriously. And if you're going to spend $44 billion on a Twitter, you're going to investigate the comps, aren't you?
Oh, you think so?
So he knows what's going on at Truth Social, and he agrees with me, or he'd be on there and buying it. It's a dead-on-arrival turd. And
it's a cat turd.
It's a dead-on-arrival cat turd.
It's a bat turd.
It's a bat turd run by Devin Nunes.
Didn't he sue over a Twitter image or something?
He has sued Devin Nunes' cow. He has sued an amazingly large number of news agencies. He's sued Twitter, he's sued CNN, he's sued McClatchy, he's sued this woman Liz Mayer, who I think might have been a fake defendant plant, possibly. I spoke to her on the phone, she was quite weird. She's very anti-Trump and would be the perfect stand-in co-defendant in one of these fake Stephen Biss lawsuits. I have to presume that Elon Musk knows what Devin Nunes has been doing, and he's lost every single one of these lawsuits, so it's not like they were good lawsuits that had some kind of righteous. He's a lawfare practitioner. He failed to stop Russiagate when he was the chairman of the House Select Committee on Intelligence, which was his most powerful position and best opportunity to do that. He's a loser.
Yeah. He is.
Sorry if that upsets people. How about Lore Fish Bar?
How about Finelli's Cafe? Behind you.
Yeah. The fish place.
I mean, what's an odd time to be? It's between lunch and dinner.
No, not now, but it looks like a pretty nice place.
Nice
Is
of them
this
to
new?
put smelly garbage right next to a fish place is
Yeah.
always a big turn on, especially
it's
as it
not
heats
great.
up.
Not
Because
great.
fish doesn't rot in the heat
Yeah.
and stink to high heaven.
Right, so what else do we want to discuss with Twitter? Because we should also talk about Eric Adams putting out a
Well,
statement.
that's why we're headed towards City Hall.
Yeah. He said, send me these pictures, but he did not. It's not like he said, we're setting up a website where people can do this, and here is a serious organized plan. And my message to NYPD officers is that you are there to do a job. And also, he couldn't really say that without first calling on the carpet Alvin Bragg and saying, we're going to start a new initiative where NYPD officers are going to arrest people, and Alvin Bragg is expected to do his job and prosecute them.
I'd say Alvin Bragg should be one of the first people arrested.
Well, I agree, but the point is, if you're going to
This
you know,
gets us to City
pretend
Hall.
the guy is actually doing anything. You know, when a mayor or somebody like that says something like that, it kicks off an initiative, it sends a message to that person and everybody in their office that, okay, let's do it.
I don't know. I think the people, when I hear Eric Adams, I'm just waiting for him to leave.
I agree.
I mean, he's
Maybe he's in the Museum of Ice Cream. The exhibits don't last very long, Charles.
big problem with sport, with what do you call it, pilferage or shrinkage?
Yeah.
But so we're now walking southbound on Broadway, which 2 years ago we did this. Remember, and it was
Just dead.
It was like Tombstone, Arizona,
Yeah. Tumbleweeds.
literally, and people spray painting everywhere. But
Tumbleweeds have been replaced by regular weed. Wow.
and a lot of wind. Maybe we need to cut in.
Yeah. This is unbelievable. Why is it so windy?
Well, because it's just whipping right. It's obviously whipping right up from the river. A lot of reasonable number of shoppers.
Yeah.
Mostly foreigners, I think.
Let's talk a bit, Charles, about what's going on with Ukraine. Boris Johnson or somebody was talking about sending jets, and Putin was like, well, all right, but we're going to have to take commensurate retaliatory action.
Yeah, I mean, this to me is, frankly, Putin is being
Patient.
extremely patient. And I guess what he's doing is he's, by these moves, figuring out what the real attitudes of the various players are vis-a-vis Russia. Maybe let's go in this way.
Yeah.
Maybe let's see if hope
Too
it's
windy.
A little less windy. But I don't know why we wouldn't think. I mean, first of all, to send Blinken, who is, I just see that guy, and I think that lawyer who's crying at Twitter has got more spine than Blinken.
They could give Putin a Raptor.
That's a big car. Let's get
Yeah,
around.
I mean, this is Turbo 6 or the V8? Yeah, this is a new one. Oh, yeah, I forgot to tell you. They announced the next Corvette is a hybrid.
Wow.
Yeah,
So-
so it's
So just back on
Yeah,
Ukraine for a second.
Putin.
So I had thought that the idea in the Constitution was that the framers were really concerned that the leader of the country would get the new country, America, the original 13 colonies, involved in disastrous foreign wars.
entanglements.
Right, and that's really coming off the recent history of the history, frankly, in the UK, really from about 1550 onwards. There were a series of disastrous expeditions. Ireland was extremely expensive, and the debts run up and trying to pacify Ireland led to a situation where the king, I think it was James I, had to raise all kinds of taxes, and he did so illegally in the eyes of many, and that ultimately triggered the English Civil War. And there were a lot of very big problems. And here, what we have, all the goons, the blue check goons, in 1560,
What kind of goons?
blue checked, Twitter blue check goons,
oh.
all saying Trump's going to get us into World War III. Trump's going to get us into World War. Trump's going to do this. Trump's going to do that. Well, I mean, I do see World War III happening,
Yes,
and I don't think it's Trump's fault.
correct.
And actually, we also need to talk about Iran. There's a story that went out just before I went to meet you to start this thing that they're now suggesting that Iran may have a nuclear weapon within weeks.
Wow.
You know, so
Oh,
so
man.
where has been the debate? You know, the team that gave us Afghanistan and did a disastrous job playing the cards that Trump had left behind, now believes, having fucked the economy up to a fairly well, and is letting what?
This is an excellent sticker.
Skip the BS. That's good.
I don't know about that one,
Yeah.
but I like it. Here's Stop Putin, Arm Ukraine. Oh my God, that's the wrong sentiment.
Yeah. So here, the same team that really has been an utter disaster
Yeah.
now believes that we can send boots on the ground into Ukraine. We can encourage the Ukrainians to fight against a better trained and larger force that has frankly far more experience fighting.
And even if they killed them all, they could still get nuked.
Right. So that's progressive. I mean, that's you got bloodshed, you've got misery, you've got people dependent on governments all over the place. You're destroying things. How is that a good idea? And where's the public debate on this?
It's deleted from Twitter.
Yeah, until recently.
Blocked. Dude, what the hell's your problem?
It's a pretty big guy.
Yeah, you see him when he hits the street. Jackass. Rides by, giving the finger through the light.
He gave you the finger?
Yes, that's why I said anything to him. But okay, so the other thing
Is that enough for you?
because Lavrov and Putin still keep saying, like, this is accelerating nuclear stuff, and somebody from the UN went to Russia
The Secretary General.
to meet with Putin, and he was like, oh, it's a war crime, and Putin said, actually, no, this is based on the same thing as Kosovo, because Kosovo is still not recognized by the United Nations, but many Western countries do. And so he cited some accord or some
Right.
finding or something where, because the Donbass region had declared its
Right.
independence and asked Russia for assistance. So Putin is not some madman who's just like over there and, name the country, Somalia or some...
Washington, D.C.?
Right. He's not some guy running some out of control banana republic. He's a and Lavrov too. These guys are just like the consummate diplomats, like
Right.
very sober, very calm, I was thinking about this, Charles, like Sergei Lavrov, and I think you have a lot of this as well. This is, I think, what a lot of people like about you. The calm delivery of a solid plan or a solid evaluation of something, no matter how upset other people are getting, and it's the type of thing that says, let's let that guy be in charge. Let's listen to what he has to say. And I get that sense from Lavrov and Putin that they are very
Right.
measured in their responses to basically everything.
Right. Exactly. And this is a matter, that is adjacent to Russia. This is not.
Right.
My starting position, if I were on the other side, would be, exactly why does the United States think it has a national
Care
interest
about
in
this so
Ukraine?
much?
Could you please explain that to me?
Right.
And I love the thing about the exchange of prisoners.
Why did they do that?
Well, did you hear what Putin said?
Tell me.
Something like, your Marine came over here and broke our laws.
Right.
So we put him in jail.
Right.
Unlike America, where he probably would have been killed.
Yes.
I love that.
Because he was fighting with the police,
Right.
is what they said,
Right.
and they arrested him.
So at least we didn't kill him.
Right. And he's right.
Yeah.
What
But-
can you say?
Free Julian Assange is one thing.
Now that's another topic we should talk about, because we haven't given that enough attention, and he's going to be extradited.
I guess. But let's finish
Yeah.
on Ukraine, then we'll move to another topic. But
Whoa. What is this?
oh my God, burst your belly bubble
Digestive enzymes for the
Happy
hoo-ha. All right.
Yeah. I think, didn't we pass, wasn't there some kind of weird
NFT art
NFT
gallery down
something
here?
right around here?
Yes.
Hype golf.
Maybe that's it.
Maybe it is, actually.
I think that's it. Yima.
Is that it?
I think it is.
No, it was a show.
You're right.
Remember, it was some kind of beauty contest, and you get.
Well, it was like some sort of a live stream of something in there. I don't know. It
It's
was
more
around
a
here.
traditional shop, I think. This is all stores going out of business, is what it is.
Yeah.
Maybe let's pick up the pace a little bit
Sure.
past this.
Okay, so we got Putin said that to the UN guy.
Yeah, and I think the situation they're trying to spin it as they lost because we said that they would be able to take Kiev in 48 hours, 48 to 72 hours. They didn't do that, so the
But
Russians.
they never said they were
I know,
going to do that.
I know. That's called stipulate the reality. That's your
But
point.
now wait a minute, Charles. That's you were going to wear that.
You gave it away.
That's like
I can't imagine how you'd even try to put this type of clothes on.
shag carpet chaps. What was he wearing?
I don't know. I try not to look too carefully.
That guy came from a time machine from 1971.
But it looks good on him.
Yeah, he just got fired as the stand-in for the Dave Chappelle Rick
Was that-
James sketch. Couch.
Or he's Joe Biden's fashion consultant.
Yeah,
Have we seen Joe Biden in the last 24 hours? You guys?
I have not, but I mean, I don't really watch TV, so I would see. Oh, I canceled Disney Plus.
Good.
Yeah. Did they have an earnings call yet?
I don't know. I'm sure they will, but I don't know when it
Wow,
will
it
be.
smells like jalapeno peppers over there.
Yeah. So that's going to get windy over there. So
Feels
maybe
all right.
we go up.
Yeah.
How could it be so windy on Broadway? And
I don't know.
here's the guy hard at work on Joe Biden's Build Back Better program.
This guy's hard at work on about to fall into the street and get his head run over. How can you sleep like that?
It's a talent. Years of practice.
Wow. Okay, so let's see. What else was I?
So the situation on Ukraine, my sense is that actually the Russians are close to winning.
I agree.
And I know that'll be greeted with howls of protest by some, but...
When you say winning, though, I don't know if winning is the word I would use. You mean controlling?
achieving his objectives, which were to sort out the eastern portion of Ukraine and eliminate the neo-Nazis that were
Still
a problem
being
there.
denied that they're there.
Of course they're there.
No, I know, but they're being denied. Here are some U.S. Marshals.
Yeah.
Not texting.
It's not 70-room hotel.
What the hell is that guy saying?
Don't think he was talking to me.
They're trying to sell us weed, I think.
I couldn't understand what he was saying.
They said, you look like you could use a free hat.
Is that what he said?
No,
There's
that was my
McDonald's.
interpretation.
Were you the one telling me about the fight in McDonald's?
Oh yeah, there was a video. Ian Miles Chong posted a video. I don't know if it was McDonald's or Wendy's or something like that, but it was this lady who looked like she weighed about 300 or 400 pounds.
So she was on a diet.
Yeah, got pissed off about something and was screaming and yelling, and the guy behind the counter popped her right in the face. And this woman went crazy. She was fighting with everybody in the restaurant.
Went crazy? I think
And
she
then-
started out crazy.
But the thing is, it was like, imagine an extremely fat woman, but they would punch her and she would go down like a bag of dirt and then immediately get right back up and start fighting again. I mean, this woman got knocked out like 3 times.
Feisty.
Unbelievable. Here's another observation. Every COVID tent I've been seeing all around town, live streaming and otherwise, nobody is there, and there's somebody in it texting, which indicates to me that this person is getting paid, even though... Do they pay you to be here even when nobody is getting the test? Do you still get paid when no one's getting the test?
Yeah, it's hourly pay.
Oh.
You do. Yeah, that's obvious. Because otherwise, these people would stop showing up for work and those tents would be gone. So there's obviously a huge amount of money that's been allocated to
Your
these
money.
things.
It's-
I know.
Yeah. And it's, there we go. Dinner.
You buy weed, you get free dinner.
Well, no, the dog there.
That's going to be the new, every weed sale is going to have a hook, Charles.
That's right. Well, it'll be like the National Lampoon, remember that? Buy
The
this
Cadillac is free, but it's 180 grand for the weed.
No, the National Lampoon famous issue, buy this magazine or
Oh,
I'll
they
shoot
kill
the
the
dog.
dog,
I'll
right.
shoot the dog. I actually said that on live TV once about Citibank.
Where's that?
We're fine.
Yeah, we do. Yeah.
Okay, so there were some other topics I wanted to ask you about.
Yeah,
Has Al Walid said anything lately about? Oh yeah, I remembered what it was. So people who are sponsors on subscribestar.com/crowdsource the truth and patreon.com/crowdsource the truth not only keep the show going,
right.
they would have seen a video, I think 2 weeks ago, on John Cullen Investigates, where John brought to my attention this really weird photograph from Pakistan before they had kicked out Imran Khan.
Right.
And it's like 12 people sitting around this 13-person table, and then one seat that has very obviously used this content-aware fill, a Photoshop feature, to erase the person. But it's unless you use it very carefully, it leaves a lot of very telling artifacts. So somebody had clearly been erased from this picture. And it was so clear that it became a matter of like public whatever,
Right.
and they had to address it. And they said that it's the guy who is the leader of the Pakistani ISI. And right away I was like, that sounds false.
Right.
Because why would you erase him if you're comfortable telling us who it was? And if you can tell us who it was, why not just release the picture with him there?
Right.
Or why not erase whoever was there and put that guy over it? That would have made it harder to tell.
Right.
Anyway, the point is, it's now come out that Bill Gates has made some deal with the new Pakistani prime minister that they're going to eradicate polio.
Because it works so well in India.
Right.
That was a massive scandal. They were kicked out of
Yes.
India.
So, I mean, now Bill Gates is in that picture at dinner with Imran Khan, who's been pushed out by whatever mechanism. I don't really understand Pakistani politics, but
Nobody in Pakistan does either.
well, but it sounds like Bill Gates does, and they're going to probably sell a lot of vaccines over there.
This is a homeless shelter or something.
It's something.
Oh yeah, the Bowery Mission. Some of those people look pretty well dressed to be homeless.
It's not a good thing. I think it's giving out food is what it is.
The Bowery Mission.
Yeah.
And here's some leftover food.
What do you think about that Bill Gates vaccinating Pakistan thing?
I think Bill Gates is one of the most reprehensible human beings on the planet.
I agree.
That he maybe has enjoyed some financial success. It's an art gallery, it looks like.
How do you like that? That looks like the most expensive
Is it wood or is it metal?
non-functional table. It seems like metal to me.
Yeah. I mean, it's gaudy. Let's put it that way, and not in the nice
It
sense.
seems like it would cost probably that could be $120,000.
Oh, easily, yeah.
And I'd be like, wow.
Well, actually, I know in India, for example, my friend, for some of my friends over there have furniture that's made out of sterling silver. Big.
Doesn't it tarnish?
No, well, I mean, that's why you have multiple servants.
Wow.
But anyway, but a throne-like chair in 2012, big ass chair, in Bangalore, in the expensive store, the asking price is $5,000 US. So the challenge is to get that throne-like chair out of there.
Is this closed?
Doesn't appear
No, I
to
guess
be.
not. The guy's going in there.
So we're down here in Blue Bloods territory, Law and Order territory. This is why I thought we should come down here, and also
And people were speculating. Yeah, sorry.
City Hall.
Right. People were speculating that Eric Adams maybe has seen the show, and definitely those cops are aware that I am keeping tabs on what they're up to.
We could ask Eric Adams whether he wants to do there's his car, Womp Womp.
That's funny.
Whether he wants to do an AMA.
He
Ask me
doesn't.
anything.
He doesn't even want to give his cell phone to people he's telling should text him.
I shudder to think what a meeting is like. I mean, imagine we had another disaster, or Sandy, God forbid, a
He
9/11.
wouldn't know what the hell to do.
And you have the crack team, or the team on crack of Eric Adams, Kathy Hochul, Joe Biden, and Kamala Harris are going to figure out how to rebuild New York.
Here, we're getting a message from a viewer. The Daily Mail says, off-duty NYPD cop given yoga punishment.
Yoga
Stumbling drunkenly San Francisco highway. Wow.
What does that mean?
I don't know. It says off-duty cop left her pals at dinner to head to a bar, but ended up in the median of a 6-lane highway. Well, it's good that we have the most responsible people acting as police officers. LaMonica is accused of being belligerent with arresting officers and accusing them of assault.
You sure that
She joined
wasn't
the force in 2016.
sure that wasn't Maxine Waters?
I don't know, but they're giving her yoga as a punishment. Normally, regular people have to pay to do yoga.
Giving her yoga.
I suck at yoga. And then when I tell them, they're like, no, you don't. That's not possible. I said, trust me. I suck at it. It's hard.
It is very hard.
Yeah. And I'm not good.
And as men get older, you get less flexible.
Well, right.
But Biden's good at downward-facing dog. That's what as he begins every meeting with a foreign potentate in that position. Sir, you left your pacifier in. What? The pacifier. Oh, Starbucks.
Yeah, exactly. They're going to be safe in there now.
Yeah.
Nobody's going to rob the Starbucks, or at least if they do, the police in there will be texting. I mean, come on. You got 5 cops going in there. Don't they have some junior? I mean, Charles, we wouldn't stop rolling on a set to send 5 people into Starbucks.
Right. Well, you're not protecting and serving. Serving is you
they.
got to serve they're serving Starbucks.
Serving coffee, exactly. To protect and serve the coffee.
And honestly, sorry about this Starbucks, but your coffee's shit. It's horrible. And I like coffee. I actually drink coffee normally black, and but that coffee is bilge water.
A very good friend of mine, I mean, I should say, a guy who I was friends with from like kindergarten, who I actually haven't seen in many years, but a friend of mine from school, was one of the most brilliant guys I've ever known. He graduated high school 2 years early.
Wow.
And went to UCLA, which is very hard to get into from New York. And he decided that college was stupid, and he became a super expert. He is literally, like now, traveling around the world doing seminars on all kinds of advanced coffee roasting stuff, and he's a huge expert. Was doing this before Starbucks came around, and he shares your opinion that he said Starbucks is like McDonald's.
I like McDonald's coffee.
And I mean, he's like, but like, in other words, if you were a grand chef, it's not choice.
I told you the story. There's a hotel, speaking of grand, there's a hotel in Stockholm called the Grand Hotel, which is grand. It's very nice. It's a collection of a number of former palaces. It's owned by was owned by the Wallenberg family when I would be staying there. And I flew overnight. We had the partner wanted to make sure that we'd be really, really tired and leave him alone. So he insisted that we, instead of going to our rooms and relaxing, he insisted that we not go to our rooms and have a very large lunch.
Boozy?
No boozy.
All right.
But just having to eat. I wanted to sleep.
Right.
Our meeting was like at 3 or 4 o'clock. And so I was exhausted. But anyway, we go through this meal, and of course he was a wealthy guy who'd been raised in France, and he knew what he wanted, and we had to have a soup course and an appetizer and a main course and dessert. So it comes around, would you like coffee or tea? And I thought, okay, I'll have tea. What kind of tea would you like? I said, I don't care, any kind of tea. And with that, this was a 20-minute lecture.
What do you mean?
You can't see, obviously you know nothing about tea. On my time off, what I do, my vacation, is I travel around the world to inspect tea plantations. And I can tell you that the tea that goes into tea bags is the garbage. That they should be in the garbage.
Oh, okay.
You want tea bag tea? I won't allow you to have tea bag. It was one of these, went on
Wow.
and on. So, okay, dude, look. Why don't you select the tea?
Yes, you sound like the perfect guy to decide what kind of tea I'm going to have.
Yeah. Little anger management. Little anger management program might have made sense for that guy. But it was really, it's one of these things where you say something innocently and you're on the
suddenly
you're on the receiving end of a tirade.
Exactly.
This guy's going to learn a lesson here.
Yeah, it's New Jersey.
Idiot.
Yeah, really.
So we're getting close to the land of the idiots, where
Back to
Eric
the-
Adams works,
I don't think he actually works. He just
Where
hangs
he-
out in there.
where he shows up. I remember when I was on this tennis team that won a big tournament, and we got invited to, we got presented, an award by the mayor, and I was late.
To City Hall.
So I think that's probably the only time I've been late. So I just miscalculated how long it would take to get here. And they couldn't believe that I would show up late. But I did.
I could picture Eric Adams sitting inside City Hall there. What do they call those things on the desk where it's like 8 kind of steel balls hanging from a string and you knock one and it knocks the other end? And
Right.
what is that thing called?
I don't know what it's called, but I know what you mean.
He's just in there playing with that and like the duck that dips its nose into the water, all this crap on the desk and nothing to do.
That's right. Sound asleep, probably.
Everything he says is stupid as hell. And what has he done so far as mayor?
Well, I mean, this is not even. This isn't a falling knife. This is a falling cutlery store.
Yeah.
This place has been tumbling for a long time, and sadly, the only cure for places like New York and others is bankruptcy.
What do you mean? How would that cure?
Well, because the agreements by Bloomberg and others gave retirees, teachers, others, packages that are impossible to finance in this type of volatile.
the city pensions, you mean?
Yeah, they guarantee. What they did is, let's go in through there. We've never done.
But what is this?
It's a bread hot dog stand.
No, this green wood.
Probably a construction site. That's the entrance to the subway, I think, underneath there.
I don't think so. That's right here.
I think it's another entrance.
That's back over there.
All right.
Let's just take a quick look.
Station maintenance.
Maybe it is subway stuff. But I thought this was where they had the chop.
It was. So kind of new.
I don't know what they're doing there. All right. Can we go in here?
Sure. So yeah, it's a park, City Hall Park.
Right. Who do we got?
We got. We should have Horace Greeley. Says we should have.
He's the founder of the New York Tribune.
I think they probably should have the person who was operating Tammany Hall, because that's what we have here. Tammany Hall was an incredibly corrupt operation. So I started to say the problem with New York City and New York State is A, there are too many workers on salary. B, their compensation is way too high.
They do nothing.
C, they instead of protecting and serving, they're failing to show up and damaging the long-term interests of the city. We have that idiot, and I feel bad that he was in the shooting down there in Florida, David Hogg, but he apparently is trying to start a business.
Pillows, I thought.
Well, and he complained about it. It's too complicated to set up an LLC and all these regulations. And he's being taken to town by people who are like, see, are you learning yet? You learning anything at Harvard yet?
Yeah, you 20-year-old dope.
Right.
So, but wait a minute, is he trying to do the pillow company?
I forget what he's trying to do.
Because that was a Mike Lindell.
But the process, I tried to start a business as a kid here in New York, and my parents made me call the various people, and I went down and met with one of them, and I was like 14.
What kind of business were you trying to start?
It was something to do with real estate. I forget exactly what I was trying to do.
But
There
we
was,
got
there
all
was,
these
this
people
is
riding bikes.
brilliant. Idiots. The,
They don't even have cops in City Hall Park.
right, exactly.
It's so stupid.
And let's take a look at this, Jason. Are any of these cars hybrids?
Probably
See.
CRV. That might be. What does it say? No, all-wheel drive. That CRV is going to be a tiny four-cylinder thing.
Yeah.
Those are big SUVs over there, not hybrids.
Yeah, and is it,
What
is
are
it
we
tech?
doing in there? There's
Right.
nothing going on in there.
Is it tech to matter? There's more people biking through here. Feel free to break all the rules.
Now, Charles, I don't want to confront anybody.
I didn't yell it.
I know. And they don't have guns
And they
either.
weren't cops.
Yeah. You're right. I'm just busting chops. Now, see, this looks like chess where you could play without getting shaken down.
Probably. Amazed that the mayor isn't down there playing.
Right. But I mean, seriously, the city is in such disrepair. The mayor coming in after de Blasio should have been really kind of public about having press conferences and... Does that sign right there say no bicycles?
We'll see. Where?
Yeah. Oh no, it does
Yield
say
to
you
pedestrians.
can use bicycles here.
Shared.
So see, that's even worse, that Washington Square Park. So we have parks that are designated for bicycles. If you're going to go to the extent of doing that, you should definitely enforce it where it's not supposed to be happening.
Right. Well, I mean, there's no. I mean, this is not a crisis, right? This is not. If you had a crisis, you'd have people like, as happened, for example, on 9/11. You were not here on 9/11.
I was.
You were, but you remember that you couldn't get in or outside of Manhattan. They shut it. There were no planes flying overhead. It was deathly still, and instantly people were helping other strangers. I saw many acts of perfect strangers.
It was the opposite of what's happening
Right.
now.
And almost immediately, when people could drive, they had these American flags on the cars and all that kind of
Yes.
stuff. It
God,
was
it almost makes you want somebody. I'm not going to say it.
No. But this is, I mean, you look at this, and in hindsight, if these videos, which I hope they will, survive and end up somehow in an archive, it'll be valuable to have all these dated videos and say, this is what you and I saw on this day walking around. But this is not what I would characterize as a gold rush mentality. This is like get the fuck out of town mentality. You got, you don't have, just 1 second.
I hope Elon Musk buys YouTube.
Facebook, Meta, is that Facebook?
Yeah.
So Meta's growth expectations leaked somehow, and they're very negative. So,
Well, were they talking about? See, it's weird that they named it Meta, because if you get that headset, there's a different thing, and I can imagine that's not growing. But they're saying actual Facebook is not growing.
yeah, I mean, I'm really of a very different generation. I mean, when I was a kid, my parents would say, "Get the hell out of the house and go play in the park."
Right.
And
Sell some
look-
weed.
No.
Do something
No. Well,
in the park.
my mother was hilarious. She
Ride
said,
a motorcycle
if I
through
catch
there."
you doing that, I will personally take you to the police, and I will force them to prosecute you.
No, not about weed. I'm just saying if you're going to go to the park today, that's what
No,
you
I'm
got.
just saying back then.
Yes,
Well,
of
this is
course.
a cool store, actually.
What is this?
a
Fountain pen.
Yeah, this is. I went in here. I have a Mont Blanc pen that I wasn't taking ink, and this is actually a really cool business. I'm amazed it's still open. Yeah, it's fantastic. I've been in.
Koh-i-Noor Repeatograph has got to be maybe not this kind of store. That's more of an art store. But look, there's a bottle of ink.
Yeah, but it's really these are people who are. Are they among the world's experts on pens?
They probably are. Probably one of the best in the world.
And are you a
Certainly one of the best in the country.
Are you a pen expert?
I wouldn't say I was an expert, but I'm a bit of a pen nut, yeah.
How many do you have?
As of now, about 30
30 pens.
at least. I don't keep them all inked all the time because it's not good for the pen.
Are you a calligrapher?
No, I just love to use it for. That's the only pen I use. I hate ballpoint.
Do you have good handwriting?
If I write slowly, yeah.
Do you think penmanship is a sexist word?
No,
Penpersonship?
I think that's silly.
Thank
we
you
do
for saying that. Have a nice day, man.
but look at
this
these-
is a sensible woman.
So-
Although I'm not a biologist.
and you haven't inspected either. But that,
Ooh.
look at that pen. That's
That's the case it comes in, or that's a book about them?
it doesn't. I don't know that it comes in that case, but that's a picture of. See the intricacy of the nib, and I
but
forget.
that's for calligraphy, right? That's not just
it's,
writing
you
stuff.
know, fancy people who are, if you're buying and selling things, you're going to have closing ceremonies, and you're going to, want to have a nice pen. It's quite
And
common
then
to
you
give.
gift it to the
Yeah, I have
person you've
a
signed
number
the
of that.
thing with.
Like
That
the-
makes sense.
Yeah, it's a
That
commemorate.
makes sense. Yes.
Yeah. I'm glad we found this. And I'm glad it's open, frankly. That was the kind of place that I thought would probably not make it through the pandemic.
This looks insanely fancy, Charles.
To me, it looks insanely like a place I wouldn't want to live.
No, but I mean, with this stone balcony, it looks expensive. Let me say that.
Right. But again, location. I want to spend a lot of money on an apartment where they're raising taxes, property taxes, income taxes, sales taxes. Businesses are fleeing, and the city, state, and country are run by communists. That's where I want to put my money.
Lying communists.
Lying communist assholes.
It's terrible. Oh, but you parked the Bentley over here.
Yeah.
All the birds are going to town.
Probably a cadaver in the trunk.
Well, so this is the Bentley SUV.
Yeah. I mean,
Wait a minute. Look what's going on under there. It looks like it arrived somewhere with snow or something.
It looks
strange?
to me more like concrete.
Oh, mud, right? Yes. Wow.
Something's
You gotta-
off here.
You got to have a lot of money to be driving your Bentley through the construction site.
Yeah.
Strange, right?
Yeah, somebody in East Hampton as well.
Interesting.
So East Hampton's expensive real estate.
Department of Buildings. Maybe the city paid for the Bentley.
Yeah, it's Eric
Is
Adams.
that your Bentley? He looked nervous. He's like,
No, I stole it.
Just asking.
So what do we think? Up this one, or is this too noisy?
Sure.
Yeah, there's a mixture here. You see that crazy-looking building could be in Singapore
Isn't
or
that
Hong
the
Kong.
Jenga building?
Whatever. And then this crazy-looking. So eventually, these buildings are going to come crashing down, the old ones, and be replaced by more and more of them. And actually, this neighborhood post September 11th, 2001 has changed dramatically to be more of a
Residential, right.
Yeah. Apparently, foreigners in particular love it.
Huh. Well, because it's new, I guess.
I don't get the appeal. It's windy, cold, and again,
Well, there's no
expensive.
taxis around.
And no, not so many restaurants. But you got a smoker's depot there,
Yeah.
and a lot less.
Right. Well,
And a Dunkin'.
Well, but if you work at the court or something, it
Yeah.
could be pretty
I mean, if you don't work at the court.
right.
If you're paid by the court but you don't work,
Yeah.
which is most of them.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
So let's see. Kamala Harris has COVID but no symptoms.
Kamala Harris says stupid.
That she's exhibiting
I mean,
severe symptoms.
It really is.
It might be fatal.
One of the things I don't like it when people condescend to other people, especially when the people they act like they're smarter than you, but
And
they're
they're
actually
not.
really stupid.
Right.
And then they start talking to you like you're a 5-year-old.
Space is great and inspires us all, Charles.
Remember the first time she tried that on the kids? And the look of scorn on the kids' faces? I'm sure.
Wait, that was about space too.
Right.
So
you
why-
kids are going to have a chance to go to space. And I'm sure if my kids had they been at that age in that audience, would probably have reported back to me and said, Dad, Kamala Harris is on dope.
But were those kids going to space with Jeff Bezos or something? Why was she?
No, they weren't going to
Just
space.
saying
but
in
it was,
the future they will?
Well, yeah, it was a photo op to try to say, this is funny. It was a photo op to try to say, look, Kamala Harris is with it. Trump had his Space Force. What did he know?
Right.
We are going to really, harness space for the benefit of person-kind or whatever she wants to. But she came across as so superficial. And unfortunately, at this point, there's no putting that genie back in the
Right.
bottle.
People know she's dumb.
She's an idiot. And do you see as well that we have MBS wouldn't take a phone call from
That's crazy.
From Biden, and Macron wouldn't take one either. I mean,
I know.
I'd say, listen, how I married my mother.
You got to say it in French, though.
I just did. I'd say, listen, Emmanuel. Oh come, Emmanuel. Whoa!
I was disappointed that Emmanuel Lewis didn't win.
The only reason you're not speaking German.
Exactly. This could easily be the Vichy.
Right. I'd say you take my fucking phone call.
So now, okay, this is what I wanted to talk to you about. Pierce Morgan has some new show on like Fox, streaming, whatever.
Is it had or has?
Well, I think it just started.
I'm saying, but given what he recently did, I don't know how long it's going to last.
This Trump interview I thought was terrible.
Right.
From the standpoint of what Trump said.
Yeah.
Trump is fully on the Putin is doing genocide, and he can't even use the N-word. He talks about the N-word, he means nuclear, and he's like, you can't even say it. He was sort of like threatening and saber rattling when he's not even president anymore, which I just don't think was cool.
Have you ever heard of Trimble Place? Yeah.
The what place?
Trimble Place? I've never heard of that.
What is that? Oh, the street? No, I never heard of it. But I'm sure it's...
I have these Irish and English friends who are fond of saying, he's lost the plot.
He has.
And
I'm saying he was way off the rails.
Yeah, and actually this is a moment of time where things could move dramatically towards him. I mean, if you look at...
Towards what?
Towards Trump. If Musk perfects the Twitter bid,
right,
and if we move closer to a sense of fairness, you're going to go back over this Hunter Biden laptop story. You're going to go back over Biden's performance. You're going to go back over the grift, and you're going to go. Was you watched Dinesh D'Souza's new movie, 2000? What is it, Mules or something?
I don't know about that.
It's a new movie that has new evidence of election problems.
Whoa!
That's supposedly compelling. So you could see a reset here where people. Of the 81 million people, let's just say 81 million people really did vote for Biden.
Right.
Let's just say that.
For YouTube's sake.
Well, just for the sake of making an easy argument.
There's two little kids with no... Oh, here's the
It's on
adult.
a scooter.
On a scooter on the sidewalk, teaching the kids what to do. Really?
I don't think we have a lot of impressive DNA there. But anyway...
Could move towards Trump.
So let's say there's 81 million.
Right.
What percentage does our audience believe? And please, on Twitter, send me a tweet, send Jason a tweet. What percentage of those 81 million actual Biden voters today believe that Joe Biden is an effective leader of this country?
That's a good question.
I got to believe, if it's half, I'd be amazed.
Who thinks that Joe Biden isn't incontinent?
Well,
that's a
you
question.
can still be an effective leader. You just got to do a lot of work on the toilet.
Yeah.
On the toilet. Come on into Joe. Not in there, Joe. No amount of stink cleaning is going to work here. And that's not, by the way, LBJ used to do that.
I know. Have conferences where you yell at people to humiliate the people.
He did it to C. Douglas Dillon, the son of the Clarence Dillon, who was the one who took over Dillon.
Wow.
Because C. Douglas Dillon was, he was a real stickler for. I met him once or twice.
He's one of the most disgusting, reprehensible individuals to ever
Biden
hold
or
the
Johnson?
office. Well, Biden is just an idiot, but definitely Lyndon Johnson is one of the most disgusting, corrupt individuals. Do you know who has a painting of Lyndon Johnson in her chambers?
I do.
Stupid Mario can go email.
Yeah, but I think. With people now, we were socially engineered to worry about asking questions, which is the polar opposite of what real investigative journalists are supposed to be. They're supposed to be, even if it's true, so if you believe it to be true, you're supposed to, if you're a good investigative journalist, check, let's assume it isn't true. Let's get a dissenting point of view. Let's really think about this, because maybe we're rushing to a conclusion. I mean, that's the good ones that I have dealt with like that. And instead, with regard to 2020, and indeed most of the Trump presidency, the very people, it's kind of rich, that's spreading maliciously false rumors
Right.
about Trump are now saying they're concerned about disinformation.
Of course. It smells like gas right here. Smell
Not
that?
me. You smelt it, dealt it.
No, I mean like gas that runs your stove.
Just kidding. But, isn't that more than a bit rich?
It's just, I mean, I don't understand how people don't see it.
Right? And I'm not a violent person, but every time I hear that idiot Schiff talk, I want to just smack him.
Yeah, because he's lying.
Well, no, the really dastardly thing that he does is he does unfairly, but legally, have access to the classified information that you and I can't look at until it's declassified.
Right.
So he knew that what he was saying was
false.
absolutely false. It was total rubbish.
Yes.
He knew that the CIA
Was
filet,
what?
a gumbo bar. You want
They
to
use
join
the bouillabaisse for a toilet.
ocean to table.
Oh. That actually sounds good.
So
Adam
So
Schiff is looking at
he
that
knew
stuff.
it, and today he's all over Twitter, concerned that Elon Musk is going to spread hurtful and damaging information that will lead to violence and this and that. I mean,
When has Elon Musk ever done anything like that?
I know. And what happened with BLM? Thank you very much.
What about his friend Ed Buck, who killed people and is now in jail for 30 years?
And were they of a certain ethnicity only?
Black men. And why was Adam Schiff not involved in any of that?
He probably was, for all we know. But I mean, the team that gets, when we think about the BLM riots, and I don't believe, I hope we don't get to having riots here in this country. Today I did a tape segment for John Batchelor with Gordon Chang, and there are reports now that in Shanghai, there are actually people fighting over food. In
I don't
Shanghai.
doubt it.
Well, but Shanghai is, the cosmopolitan, I've never been there, but I understand it to be, a cosmopolitan city of the future. To have a civilization just blow up this quickly, but you don't achieve lasting redress of injustice through violence, and that's what the idiot, that fat turd Gerald Nadler, chairman of the judicial.
He's been quiet lately.
He should be. Maybe he's had his mouth sewn shut.
That would be good.
Take about 6 weeks. God, it gets cold in the wind.
Yeah, it is. Wow. I don't know if people.
It's really whipping. Nice garbage adjacent here.
That sign is going crazy.
It's funny, the wind eddies
really
and
windy.
currents or whatever. Movie or something around here. A sign for catering.
Wow. That's unbelievable.
We're at the links course now.
Yeah. We could start a links course right here.
And then we have
So, Charles, I am absolutely convinced that in the same way they did prior to the 2020 election, pull out all the social engineering stops, like try to shut down the Jason Goodman YouTube channel, everybody, all hands on deck, do whatever you can to disrupt this Elon Musk Twitter takeover. I believe that is happening right now. The stocks, Twitter itself, bad news articles about Elon Musk, try to mess with Tesla, try to mess with anything at all to screw it up.
I mean, you can do that in small scale, but to do it on a $45 billion takeover, I'm not sure you get away with that.
I don't know. They were able to potentially have some impact.
Crazy people. You all right?
Did you smell it?
I smell a lot of things. What are you talking about specifically?
Weed.
Oh yeah, but also garbage. And then we have waffles and dinghies.
Belgian. Good things, Belgian. It's a very short list.
Chocolate, beer, waffles,
Mussels.
mussels.
Not colonies. didn't do a very good job with their colonies.
They chopped off the hands of people in the Congo for doing something with rubber. Let's go over here. There's a whole bunch of stuff going on there.
That's right. It's a
Now,
UN
wait a
meeting.
minute. But the retail market is not.
It's Monday, or it's Wednesday, right? So you
Is that why?
Yeah. No.
Maybe they shut it down.
No.
They were all
Well,
over
on
here.
Sunday, the post office is closed.
But the post office isn't involved in the.
I'm just saying, so they can drape their shit on the post office. Nobody cares.
Oh, on Sunday it's closed. Got it. Right. I saw a very interesting podcast about a guy who wrote a book about. You're going to think this is stupid.
I doubt it.
Junkyards.
No,
the
junkyard-
junkyard economy.
No, junkyards are very interesting actually because people would be surprised how much stuff in construction comes out of junkyards.
Well, what this guy was focused on specifically was junkyards in China and the type of material that was
Let's go that
being recycled at them.
Sure.
And he basically spent a year going around to all these junkyards in China, and he said that they were this town that he was focused on was recycling Christmas lights.
I got to say, just a supposition, did the guy have a long list of other things to do?
This was actually surprisingly insightful. I
right.
came upon it looking for an image for a thumbnail, and the article associated with the image attracted my attention. I started listening to the podcast. And so he went around this whole area in China, which they did not want, foreigners there. He got chased out and stuff. But they were basically getting the copper out of the wires from the Christmas lights. And because he spoke about the type of wire that gets recycled in the United States, and it's got to be like 80% copper or they're not into it. So all this stuff that's like 20% and less. The other problem he's saying is because we import so much stuff from China, there's all these giant cargo ships in LA.
It looks like a Biden.
What do you guys think about the Hunter Biden gallery?
I'm thinking it's such a travesty.
Yeah.
Are you the artist?
Yeah.
Isn't it ridiculous what they're trying to do? You've worked all your life to get into a gallery, right?
Sure. I mean, I can get one in right now. Where are you going?
So, which is his artwork?
Oh. Well, what do you think about Hunter Biden's artwork? Is it fairly priced? $500,000 for a canvas? It is. That's the asking
No
price.
comment, you said?
Yeah, no comment. I know you're recording, so I don't.
You're a smart guy.
That's our
Right?
president, right?
Well,
Yeah.
Our president's son.
right.
Allegedly, I'm not a biologist.
I think it's entertaining.
Yeah.
The art or the crack smoking?
Just like the whole thing.
So, but
We're
honestly,
about to have World War III.
how much would that painting cost? For example, that one right there, closest one.
Everything is like under 100,000.
Under 100,000 each. Wow.
What are you guys doing this for?
Just walking around making a podcast.
Yeah, you too.
What's the hat mean?
Sorry?
What's the hat mean?
It's ancient Greek. It's a famous episode. One of our viewers gave it to me. There's a famous episode when I think it's the Iranians went to the Spartans, Persians went to the Spartans, and said, if you don't do X, Y, and Z, we're going to eliminate you. And the answer was basically if, and they killed the emissaries. So it's basically put up or shut up is what it means. So seriously, that one over there is 100,000?
No, not necessarily.
Okay. Yeah, I know the art market. I mean, I don't know perfectly, but well, anyway, good luck.
Have a nice day.
Is that a Keith Haring?
Up there? Looks like it.
See? I know something. There you go.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks. Now, well, you want to sell your art right adjacent to.
Yeah. Well, they're keeping the good art upstairs.
That's the.
So wait a minute.
There's the artist. He's on.
What were we
taking a
talking
break.
about before that?
I don't know. That was we want to do a whole show about pricing art.
Yeah.
But
That guy thinks it's funny that a crackhead.
well, again, that's he. Who knows who his friends are? I mean, he could be.
George Bourget's.
Eric Schwerin's brother, for all we know.
That is an old Z06.
It's a Corvette.
Oh no, it's a ZR1. What does it say? I can't see it from here. Z06, yeah. It's pretty good, Charles.
That can't be easy to drive in New York City.
Well, you might have an automatic.
Well, I'm just saying, look how low you are. I mean, you got
Oh,
potholes.
well, yeah. And then here's your Taycan.
Yeah.
Silent.
Is that electric?
Yeah.
Wow.
That's a Tesla competitor.
Does Tesla have competitors at this point?
That Porsche.
There we go. We got the light.
And Mercedes just released one.
You want to key that car?
I don't know what these guys are advancing for. There's nowhere to go. We just almost got hit by a Z06 Corvette.
Well, that would have been useful.
No. I can't remember what we were talking about. Let's see if the comments are reminding us.
Well, look here at the the quality of the infrastructure in New York City. I mean, look at the state of this street. Hey, Eric Adams, come get your ass down here and fix this freaking street.
We could text him.
Right? I mean,
Now, wait a minute. This is someone talking about something on the dark web. This film is in color, unedited. What are they talking about?
I have no idea. Maybe it's more Hunter Biden stuff.
Right, and Cullen did a episode about Tucker Carlson that I haven't had a chance to see yet.
What is it?
I don't know. He said the real Tucker Carlson, and he did one of his bedtime story episodes. I got to check it out. Our chat is chatting about it right now.
Yeah, there's something about Tucker. The National Enquirer has a picture of Tucker Carlson saying he's, after many years of being, a family man, he's gone crazy.
Huh,
Who knows? Who knows?
That doesn't sound like something Cullen would cover, but
Yeah.
I'm sure when people tune in on Friday on subscribestar.com and patreon.com, there's going to be a lot to talk about with Cullen because he and I were discussing this Bill Gates Pakistan situation.
Right.
And by the way, Imran Khan is pissed. He's doing something to try to
Oh, well, yeah. I mean,
get back.
I mean, he's enormously popular in Pakistan. Or as B-Rock calls it, Pakistan.
See, now, we come out here, and that guy riding that bike like that could have easily crashed into us.
Right. We don't have the light, Jason, so let's
This is a total jam up right here.
see, people trying to get to the tunnel.
This guy's trying to crash into the building or something. Wow. That's crazy.
This is near where my friend got run over.
Maybe let's stand on the sidewalk.
That's
So
a
let's
good
see.
point.
Storage Wars copper wire. Thank you, Jane. Right. So Charles, they were saying that the town in China is recycling this cheap wire, and so the shipping containers, because they have so many shipping containers in Los Angeles that they want to get back to China to import the stuff. It's like $2,400 to send a shipping container from China to Los Angeles, and $300 to send it from Los Angeles to China. So they basically load it up with like chopped up cars and
Garbage.
Christmas lights and any kind of garbage with computer stuff and any kind of metal, and they just send it to these towns in China where this American writer, I forget his name, but he said that they're just like, they have these like indoor facilities where they're just like melting this stuff, and it was toxic as hell.
Sure.
And he said, obviously nobody has done a study, but I mean, these towns, they're just dumping sludge outside the buildings, that's getting into the groundwater and the whatever, and everybody is burning this stuff and inhaling it.
Yeah, well, it's an interesting that I can
And
link.
it's recycling, it's green.
Well, I can link that to the John Batchelor and Gordon Chaggy period. So, what's going on? If you think about it, the thought leaders, who for the last 30 years have been saying, China is the future. China will be the next millennium. They know how to run big populations. They know how to accomplish things. We don't know what we're doing. And in one fell swoop here, we have in the situation now the COVID lockdowns that are spreading. Gordon said they're now to 57 cities.
In China.
Yeah. What we have, I mean, we went through a lockdown. It was not good. It cost a lot of money. It set people back. It's a lot of.
Well, we're still having it right around. I mean,
but
look
the
at all
Chinese didn't do that, right? They supposedly contained it quickly. Now, apparently, it's spreading like wildfire, And I think not only is this going to hurt them economically and contribute to inflation and screw up the supply chain and hasten decisions by intelligent business people to roll up the supply chains and bring them back here. In addition, it's going to put paid to the idea that the G and the Chinese insiders are really these intelligent experts on how to run complex countries, and that we should follow their example.
Oh boy.
You know, so which I should do that. I mean,
Well, Justin Trudeau loves China.
let it put them in what you said, $300.
Yeah, put him in the
Put
container.
them in the tray. I'll fill up. You can have one whole trailer on me.
Where's Intermix?
Can we get three? Thanks.
They may have things there that
Yeah, so here's a public service announcement. If you come from out of town to New York City, don't stand around in the middle of the sidewalk clogging up the street.
Because Americans, New York City residents will know right away that you're an a-hole.
Exactly. Somebody did a little YouTube series with this pretty funny puppet that was like, "Welcome to New York, get the fuck out of the way." And he was like, "Hey, welcome to the subway." Telling you to get out of the way.
That's pretty
So back on Eric Adams for a second. Ooh, Charles, look at this. It's almost like a Rolls Royce with the Ram on the front there. I haven't seen that before.
That's nice. You
That
got
must
truck.
be-
You got truck envy there,
Must
Jason.
be custom.
Well, it's-
But
got a construction work or Tiffany and Company. Here's a logical place to have a jewelry store.
this has been here for a while. Eric Adams talks about, you know, all the technical aspects of being a subway cop, and he's like, we're gonna have cops on the trains, and we're gonna have a cop in every station. It's like, excuse me, jerk.
You're the mayor.
Not only that, that's a knee-jerk, reactive, not going to do anything solution. I am very convinced that they need to go back to what Carrick and Giuliani did that worked, which is that broken window policing where
Yeah.
you address these low-level crimes and just make it clear that no crime is going to be accepted.
Right. But we have a soft on crime.
These are all empty. These are,
Well, Jason, that's because they're fighting climate change.
yeah.
You know, customers are buying everything online. I'm making that up.
But that would probably be worse for climate change because then you're driving products to everybody's house rather than bringing a big thing to one
you
store.
you could fulfill the orders in a group fashion. You could say, which they're not doing yet. You could say, you know, Amazon, what we're going to do is you're not getting 10 boxes, you're getting one box.
Well, they just raised the price by adding $5 or something,
Oh, I know.
5%.
There's no easy way to do any of this. But it's certainly the case that if you are heating and cooling a store and paying taxes and overhead and all that kind of stuff, you're not making money if there are no customers in it.
That's the other topic. So Russia has turned off the gas, and Romania
No gas
is
for
paying.
you.
Not Romania.
Bulgaria and Poland. Bulgaria and Poland.
Austria said they were going to pay
It's gonna go.
with rubles, and somebody else said you're holding us hostage, and then here we go. We got a fully kitted out dog over there. Shoes,
You're
jacket,
gonna have to get some of those shoes, Jason. Do you have any of those? You know, rubbers that you can put on?
dog, rubber dog shoes.
Not dog shoes, man shoes.
Wear 'em around.
No, when you get, you know, have the slush and the salt, and
I got the 3D shoes.
there you go. Next thing you need to get some 5G shoes.
So
Get-
what about these people who are saying, you know, Putin, you're doing whatever with the gas? Here's a crazy expensive watch
Wow.
store with nobody in it.
Is it a watch? Yeah, oh, this is the really expensive watch store. Roger DeWee.
No rules, our game. Well,
Yeah,
that
it's-
doesn't really make me want to play.
Yeah, exactly. Selling watches to me is pretty hard. I stopped wearing 20 years ago.
This might be the.
Nanushka.
No, that's not
All right,
it.
so this is lesson in furniture. This is, I don't think this is a Hans Figner design, Danish design precisely, but it's evocative of that.
That also looks like it's a $100,000 chair.
It wouldn't be 100,000, but
It's probably like 25.
well, so the way
Or you
these
get
work,
4 of them for
well,
80.
So the way these work is you have, this is a mass-produced chair, probably, right?
Okay.
So maybe who knows how many they decide to make.
Extinction Rebellion.
Yeah. Who knows how many they decide to make. But if you have a limited, so an artist's model,
Right.
or something that was the first one that was then used as the basis for mass production. That is very valuable.
Ah. See, I didn't even know about that with regard to furniture.
Yeah. And furniture is, it's just useful. It should basically just be useful for decoration. But my own parents were furniture addicts.
I've got pretty minimalist furniture.
Yeah, what's this? Carl Hansen. Yeah, this is Danish modern. Carl Hansen, I think. And son. I'm gonna look this up.
Ken Hansen used to be a great camera shop when I was in NYU. He's got to be dead by now.
But when you have, people like different things. Some people like, I don't know anybody like this, but some people like cameras and computers. They like to have a lot of them.
You don't know anybody like that.
Not at all.
Yeah.
Some people.
But the gas, Charles, the Putin gas, what's going on there? He seems to be winning.
This is a long-term problem that people have been saying for decades. Europe, wean yourself off Russian gas. You can't.
And they laugh.
And they're like, oh no, we're too busy putting together the European Union and
threatening Elon Musk.
hiring caterers. I mean, we got shit to do here. I mean, don't talk to us about our national security. You're defending us. Why do we worry about that?
Shouldn't this be a moment where the people of Europe say, hey, you know what? Why does America have freedom of speech and we don't?
Right.
And instead of them trying to force us to go in reverse, why don't they take this moment to say, hey, we should be able to speak out on the internet?
Yeah. So I think the reality is that it takes a lot of time, as it should, and money to move explosive things that go boom when they're not properly stored and handled, to move those great distances from remote portions of Russia into Europe.
Yeah.
And you don't just wake up one day and say, well, tomorrow
Change the whole thing.
yeah, I'm going to buy Canadian gas. That's not the way it works.
I think Joe Biden thought it was.
Well, Joe Biden thought. I mean, there you can stop right there.
Sorry, I made a mistake. Somebody told him.
Yeah. Somebody allegedly tried to tell him. I mean, he's I don't know if you had this as a kid, but he's the kind of person who ought to have his gloves, stapled
Strapped
to
the sleeve.
Yeah. Every day. You ought to have a 3x5 index card that says, "My name is Joe Biden. If you see me walking aimlessly on the street, please take me back to Delaware. I've got to meet with Kamala Harris."
If lost, reward if found.
Right. I've got to meet with Kamala Harris, who's spending every day now working on her Wordle assignments, W-O-R-D-L-E.
And what's going on with everybody who's leaving her staff?
Well, she's too focused on Wordle, some game. Seriously.
And she's telling you about it,
Yeah.
which is like, that's extra stupid.
Yeah. Just pathetic.
It is.
But so anyway, on the whole, for the moment, on the Russian gas thing, I think Putin holds the upper hand. On the issue of whether Putin is going to now punish people who've been sending weapons and participating in supporting military actions that have killed Russian troops, I think anybody who's been doing that is about to find that elements of their military are going to lose some weight.
Well, Russia released a report that some shipment of, I believe, British or maybe NATO, I think British arms was destroyed.
Right, no, they're definitely going to be doing that.
Yeah, they bombed it. And then they also said that some Russian weapons depot in Russia was destroyed by some. This is what it was. So Boris Johnson was talking about some weapons they were sending, and then Putin said, yeah, one of those destroyed some stuff in Russia, so get ready for something coming back your way.
A proportionate response.
Proportional response, right.
Yeah. And the whole attitude, one of the things that I, in my career, have been told that irritates people about Americans is, not all of us, but some act as if we're going to win. We're going to dictate the terms of, at the end of the battle, we're going to be in charge. So we're going to lead this, you're going to listen, you're going to finance it, you're going to put your people at rest, but we're going to make the tough calls because you're idiots.
Right.
And that's
people don't like that.
That's coming to bite us back hard in Biden's ass. Because, I mean, seriously, if you're sitting there, you imagine, we're in the middle of many crises, but you're sitting in a situation room, and who's got the job of waking Biden up?
Yeah.
I mean, you know, you'll be sitting there and say, corn pop! That's not what we're talking about, Mr. President. We're talking about Romania. Oh, you know, I used to be a truck driver in Romania. You know,
Yeah, for 4 years he was a full truck driver. Charles, there's a number of people still wearing masks, which is kind of surprising.
yeah, well, we're around a university.
Outdoors.
I know. And we got Benito Fauci saying the pandemic's over, and
That guy's
seriously,
all over the place.
and seriously trying to argue that the CDC should not be subject to the rule of law.
Right. What are these courts doing getting involved? I'm supposed to tell everybody what to do.
Yeah, garbage adjacent.
Yeah.
But,
We haven't heard too much about January 6th people lately.
well, no, there was an important decision out there
What
in
was that?
Arizona that they were trying. Some idiots were trying to say that different people couldn't run because they were there.
Oh, well, right.
And the judge said you can go.
No, that's from the Civil War. You can't use that. But they're using it in Georgia against Marjorie Taylor Greene. They haven't had a decision there yet, have they?
Yeah, she's a feisty, not the best speller in the world, but
I mean, she's got her shortcomings, but I like where she's coming from, and I like what she's trying to do, and she's tough as nails.
I like her fearless support for Cat Turd.
Right.
Cat Turd is pretty funny, as is Mini AOC.
Yeah.
There's some, as is the Babylon Bee. Did you see that Babylon Bee thing about voting?
About what?
The Biden administration is doing such a bad job that the dead people are going to vote Republican in November 2022.
I saw Babylon Bee seems to be back on Twitter. Is that?
I didn't check that.
Maybe it was a fake one. So that was the other thing. There was a fake Dr. Robert Malone that they keep trying to bring back. So, I mean, I think there are a number of different social engineering things happening to disrupt Twitter and to make conservatives on Twitter look stupid and all this different kind of stuff.
Right.
So people should definitely be on guard when using Twitter, and also be aware that it is not yet owned or controlled by Elon Musk. It's just sort of in its death throes of that possibly happening.
Which could stretch out, depending how he structures it. If he does it as a tender offer, it should be done quickly. If he does it another way, a cash exchange offer could take a while.
Huh.
So we'll have to see how they decide to do it. So we're back in the park. Why don't we'll head over to our usual
Sure.
closure place.
Departure.
Yeah. And this is the people who are pretending that they're studying at NYU. I was actually, another Irish expression is gobsmacked by that fellow in Union Square who admitted to having $200,000 in student loans coming out of music school.
The man, that guy's walking around selling weed. You need some edibles, Charles?
Yeah.
I know how you hate rolling your own joints. He's got you covered.
I know. He's probably got $300,000 in student loans. He's not even handing out hats.
It's silly to me to go to music school for $200,000. If you know how to play music, just go do it.
Yeah, it depends the type of music, but in my mother's case, she was, look.
This guy's not even looking.
He's looking the wrong way.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Start arresting these guys.
Yeah, that's not going to happen, Jason.
It's just ridiculous.
That's not how they roll. That's not how they don't roll. Here's the future.
That's nothing but weed right there.
Yeah,
on
this
that.
is the future of our
So
nation.
school is out now, Charles. That's what's happening.
Not yet.
No, I mean for the day.
Oh, well,
This is why it was. None of them are looking. None of them are looking. This guy is not looking at what is in front of him or what is going on or who he's about to crash into.
Is that Eric Adams?
Yeah, that is.
Yeah, this is just.
It's just a weed flea market
It's a
here.
prescription for disaster. And this is a little
Absolutely.
kid's park here, you know.
I know. I mean, Charles, if I had a little kid, I would not be bringing them to the park right now.
I would suggest that anybody with young children or anybody, with any kind of health issue, move as far away from New York City as possible. Oh, here we have Dirty Feet.
Oh, yes.
Time to get dirty with dirty feet.
But for real, if you're sitting in your apartment, you're like, I need to get a little air, I should get outside. You come to the park to sit in peace and enjoy the quiet and just take in the day, and you cannot do that. This park is the opposite of peaceful. You are not safe.
Well, when I was a kid, around this time of year, school would be out at 320 over in 10th Street and Broadway, or 10th and 4th, and we'd walk into the park, and different kids from different schools would play here, from like 3:30 until 5:30. When you're third grade, fourth grade, something like that.
Elon Musk is going to buy school and make break time at 4:20.
Yeah. No COVID? Oh, there's a COVID testing there.
Yeah.
Only
they got
one.
The ice cream man is back.
I know what we can do
and ice cream.
for a slight difference. Let's go up Waverly
Sure.
and we'll walk down Hobo Row.
Okay.
And give the audience a new sense of Hobo Row.
Yeah. There's no cops whatsoever.
Yeah.
I mean, where are they?
Probably nowhere to be seen. We can go.
Why don't you just always have a fixed number of police in the park?
They
Eric
should.
Adams doesn't know what the hell he's doing. How did he get elected? Oh, that's
You
close.
can't bring up that question, I don't think. That's, of course, feel free. Just go ahead. Yeah. So this is an infrastructure project, clearly following building
This
code.
is a crack team right here. They're on their crack break.
They're on break from break.
That's unbelievable.
This looks really good. And mind you, that
Do you want to
building,
drill?
that building is pretty expensive.
I think that's NYU owns all these, right?
I don't know about that. It used to be just condos or something, co-op.
I thought it was always NYU professors living there.
Really? These are one of these was the faculty club. I don't know if it still is. These are brownstones that were really expensive in their prime. This is a gigantic one.
Yeah.
That probably has ballroom in it. And a friend of mine and my brother's father was Norman Redlick. Norman Redlick was the Warren Commission.
Oh,
And then
what was he doing on there? He's a part of it?
He was, mover and shaker on it, and he was then, I think, dean of the law school. So he lived in that building in the
This
beautiful
is global legal studies.
Yeah.
Globalist,
Global wasting your
illegal
time.
studies.
Yeah. But back, I don't know what year all these brownstones were built, but back in the day, what is this now? Total Management.
That is a modeling agency, I believe.
Is it?
Well, when I went to NYU, maybe not. This is so long ago, but I remember a friend of mine who is an actress told me that when she first got here, she signed up with this thing called Total Model Management, and the first thing they sent her on, she realized it was like an escort service. She was like, "Wait a minute."
I don't recall saying I'd do this.
So she didn't do that.
Maybe that's still. And this North Square place used to have decent American food. Looks horrible now. I'm not going to eat inside a telephone booth. Why don't you go ahead?
Yeah, the whole thing is coming apart at the seams.
And then over on your left, you have the world famous Bobo.
Yeah.
Where the staff are incredibly rude.
Yeah.
And it's overpriced, and I don't think very good.
When I was walking over to the park to meet you, there was an Asian woman who, she was a postal worker.
She went postal on you?
She was calm, but we were walking by one of these, tree things.
Right.
So the sidewalk was particularly narrow, and she had her, post office wheelbarrow or whatever that is, full of mail.
Right.
And some dude rode by on a bike, almost crashed into her. And I said, "Don't you hate that people are riding on the bike?" And she seemed Chinese or, you know how Chinese people are about crowds. They just sort of shove people into the train. And,
That's Japanese people. Now, this
Don't
place
worry
is a
about it.
fixer-upper. They care about Ukraine, but look at the state of this place. This is last seen a coat of paint prior to LSD in 1969. I mean,
it's just like the Azov Battalion headquarters or something.
but that fixed up, this building should be pretty valuable. But right now, it's a piece
Razed
of
to
crap.
the ground.
Yeah.
And build
So
a new one.
this is a notorious stretch. We'll see if it's windy and cold. Maybe they don't have the usual coterie of beggars on this block. But we're on Waverly, we're going to make a right. And from here up to 9th Street, typically there's a flotilla of miscreants
Make a right on 6th or go there?
right here.
Okay.
That Waverly
It's a good hair
restaurant used
color
to
for you, Charles.
yeah. That Waverly restaurant used to be. Well, we got some of what I was talking
You
about.
could smell the piss.
Right. Oh, that's right here. You come right in here.
I know.
And you know,
This used to be Staples.
all these. No, Staples was up here. This used to be Duane Reade.
Dwayne,
But normally these people are right in front of the pizza place asking you to buy them food. For what?
I've lost my audio. I guess my battery must be dead. Hang on to that for 1 second.
Sure.
I think some of the batteries.
So we're in front of me used to be the Staples, and you know Staples was a business that was always had a fair amount going on, and now we have how many? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, maybe 9, just in this block alone, of people milling around. As it gets darker, it gets noisier. There's of course a liquor store right there.
Well,
So
they're
you-
probably doing very well.
Until they get robbed.
I got to imagine that Staples is saying to itself, why do we want all this?
Right.
First of all, Staples is useful as a
Stella,
retail.
You're right. This guy has a Stella Artois glass filled with beer.
Oh, and the cops aren't saying anything. I didn't see the guy. But Staples strikes me, Charles, as a store that was extremely useful. Like, I used to go there if we're doing something and you run out of paper in the middle of the day. But the point is, if you're not an office, you could probably order that stuff and have it tomorrow and be fine.
Well, Staples was very convenient for me to have it there, and now there's only one over there on 9th Street and Broadway.
But I'm saying there's a dramatic reduction in the number
Oh.
of people who have offices. Staples
Right.
probably having a tough time.
Exactly, absolutely. I don't know what happened to Office Depot either.
That was always like less than Staples, so maybe they went out of business. Well, this has been a super long show. We're 2 hours 20.
It's on Central Time, 4:20.
Right, and I want to, wow, it's really cold. I just want to let everybody know that this was a super duper use of crowdsourcing of the truth from a viewer, and thanks to that viewer, somebody went and found out that they have community meetings of the 6th precinct of the police, and I'm going to attend that tonight and report back to everybody what the hell goes on. And so thank you for the person who figured that out. That's the best kind of thing. When we talk about something and there's some kind of open question and then somebody finds the answer to it or the next piece of information that we need for it, so much more useful than people who want to share their opinions with me.
Today's Wednesday and it's hump day. I want to get laid and get pizza.
$100. He's going to get laid and get pizza.
He's reason that's the homeless black disco. It's pretty
my
funny,
God.
actually.
Could you imagine?
I'll go up 1 block soon, and I'll leave
That's
you.
just. But anyway,
We
thanks
didn't
for.
even pay for that. We didn't arrange for that comedic entertainment.
No, that guy, he's an added bonus. But thanks for watching, everybody, and I hope people will become sponsors over on Subscribestar and Patreon. I canceled Disney Plus, so I know it's tricky. There's Extinction Rebellion right there. I know it's tricky to be able to come up with enough money.
They smashed the window.
Oh yeah. Super windy today. Ooh, I got a very special guest tomorrow, Charles.
Who's that?
I think I might leave it as a surprise.
All right.
But people are gonna. This is somebody who's been on the show before, but not for a long time. And people are going to be really surprised. This guest is very relevant. Have you seen that?
What is that? Oh, yeah.
Will Smith slapping.
That's funny.
Slaptastic. All right, well, thanks for watching, everybody. Have a great